this, not 1 minute. God damn it. I've done a stupid thing on this day. I'm just gonna have to hope that my phone stays alive long enough for me to snake this charging cord through this little thing. It doesn't even feel like it's connected. Whatever. It's probably connected fine. It's probably fine. Whatever. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to work. It just needs to work. Anyway, I was just watching The Poltergeist, and I thought, he's ending his stream. I feel like doing a wind down stream, which really just means I kind of feel like talking to myself for a while and listening to the crickets and not really listening to anybody else talking, which, I don't know. I guess that's a little selfish, but whatever. I don't know. It just seemed like a fun idea. There's an after party going on, and anybody that happens to find it can participate in it. That's a cool thing, right? After parties are chill. And look, I'm not gonna have any lighters in this room. That's gonna be my curse, isn't it? No, I have one. I do, in fact, have one. You ever think you hear something behind you that's like right behind you, and then you look back there and there's nothing there? And by the way, if anybody wants to listen to any music, I have my guitar sitting right over here. I'm totally down to do some song requests. But yeah, Paul was talking about compromise on his stream. He was talking about the idea of basically blackmail on an international scale, as pioneered and engineered by the Russian government originally. And he posed a really interesting question, which is like, how many of our politicians here in America are operating on compromise? And I think the answer is kind of like very obviously most of them. Because otherwise, at some point, you have to figure out, why doesn't the government do anything? Like, why doesn't the American government seem to ever make positive development for its own people? Why does it seem incapable of acting in the best interests of the citizenry that it's supposed to provide for? And the only explanation I can think of is compromise. The idea that all of these politicians are compromised. The idea that they've all got something that could be held against them. So here's what I think. I think that you're not allowed to get a little bit of power without somebody in the greater power structure kind of giving you the blessing, but also giving you this ultimatum. You're going to be allowed to get to power, but the only way you're going to be able to keep that power is if you agree to do the things that I want. Because if you don't do the things that I want, then I am going to ruin your career. I'm going to spread malicious lies about you, or I'll just tell the truth, and you'll be done for. And I think that is... See, that's to me, that is the only explanation for how so much of the government is bought out. Because I could believe that most of Congress is on the take. And I think, one of the things about compromise is that it works hand in hand with other forms of bribery, just direct bribery. You don't have to be, it doesn't have to be one or the other. Damn, I got an itch in my shoe. Fuck. I hate it when my feet itch and I have my shoes on. It's really fucking annoying. Does anybody know what I mean? Does anybody know how annoying that is? when you got an itch and it's on a part of your fucking foot that you can't itch with your goddamn hands because your fucking shoes are covering it. Russia supports you in your anti-Ukrainian messages. Keep up your good work. I haven't even mentioned Ukraine, bro. I don't have an opinion on that conflict because I'm neither Russian nor Ukrainian. I mean, I guess I do. I wish that it wasn't happening. I think that there's I think that there were a number of opportunities for the West to figure out something with Russia that didn't involve years of bloodshed. I think that there was an opportunity to figure out some diplomatic way to preserve Ukrainian sovereignty and freedom and preserve Russia's ability to exist and operate as a country. I don't think it's America's job to decide what countries operate or stay solvent and don't. I don't think that's our decision to make. I don't know why it's seen as our decision to make. And I am of the opinion that if we did start leading with the honey instead of the vinegar, uh, well, it's like the old saying goes, you get more flies with honey than vinegar. Wait, you support Russia? No, I didn't say I support Russia, bro. I really did not. I don't know. Like, I don't support either side of that conflict because supporting a side of that conflict implies that I want one side to win this war. And really, the way I feel about it is not I want one side or the other to win. It's that I wish the war wasn't happening, and I feel like the war was avoidable. It that like let's just assume that Putin is honest when he says that all he really needs is that little sliver of land and that little region of Ukraine that is being so hotly contested. Let's just say that he's being legit about that. Maybe he's not, you know what I mean? But there's really no way to know. Let's just say we had tried. Let's just hell, we could have set up a deal with him where we're like, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll give you 5 years where we will let you administer these places. You can collect taxes from them. You can uh, you can work on the infrastructure there. You can run it basically. And if at the end of that 5 years things have been going well and you and Ukraine haven't been at each other's throats, then we will, sell you that land. And when I say we, I mean the Ukrainian government, because I believe at this point that the Ukrainian government is basically a wing of the American government. I think it's basically like become one of our little colony states. So when I say we, that's why I say we. I think we could have set up a deal where we gave them like a little time to test, like a little time to see, would this work? Is this all you really want? And if 6 months into that deal, Russia starts attacking caravans that are coming out of Ukraine or starts fucking with people at the Ukrainian border, then we know Putin's full of shit. And at that point, then once you've had an existing agreed upon deal that both sides said would work for them, then, in my opinion, it's more justified to start talking about forceful military action. Before that, I don't really think it's a good idea. Let's see, what was this deleted message? Bro, you look like Shrek? Oh, whatever. I mean, I guess I kind of do, though, in this tank top, honestly. But, I mean, my skin's not green. I don't think my nose is that big. Why do you hyper-focus on this? I don't know. I don't feel like I am hyper-focused on it. This is the first time I've talked about Russia, Ukraine, and, like, I mean, outside of, like, just commenting on it when it comes up on streams, like, this is the first time I've talked about it myself, actually saying words in 2 years, I think. It's just not, it's not something that's constantly on my head. What can I say? But somebody asked about it. Somebody said that I supported Russia. I was like, no. Let me see here. I'm gonna have to scroll up a little bit. Putin, the supervillain? Like, I don't know. Everybody seems to paint him like he's a supervillain, and maybe he fucking is. But I think we should have like given him a chance to prove that to the world before we started arming another nation to go kill another nation's children. I think that we should have like I feel like America's purview, the thing we do best is diplomacy. That's how we've done all the good we've ever done in the world has been done through the action of diplomacy. So why wasn't it our impulse on this? Also, there's a train coming. What that means is that in about 10 seconds, probably less, I'm going to have to mute this stream because it's going to get very loud. Alright, luckily whatever they're hauling is not like super heavy, I guess, because it's not making a whole lot of noise, so I can keep talking through it. Anyway, I look like Adonis. Oh, that's sweet. Oof. Ah, man. Okay, here's first edict to my mods. If anybody happens to be in here, one-word comments are not super helpful unless it's like super clear what it is they're responding to or talking about. Anyway, what the fuck was I talking about? I was just talking about the Russia-Ukraine situation and how I think this whole war could have been avoidable. I can tell you got stuff going on in your life and you deflect in YouTube comments. Doesn't everybody have stuff going on in their life? Is your life like super boring so you don't like have a whole lot going on and extrapolate that anybody who's got a comment on YouTube videos is like, I don't know, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't seem like a very poignant observation. I feel like most people I know have a shit ton going on in their life, especially nowadays. Man, get some mental health he needs. Who, Kevin? Me too. You're still deflecting? Deflecting from what? Says a lot that you're looking at another man's chest, bro. Huh? Whose chest am I looking at? What the? This is the point where I just like I'm like scratching my head, wondering like, what the fuck are they even talking about? Not when he's calling you transgender for having man boobs. Well, I mean, I am trans. Autogynephile. Okay, whatever. Well, transphobes fuck off. That's a basic fucking thing. And I'll go ahead and hide Kevin too because they're clearly on the transphobe grift as well. Whatever. If the only two people interacting in chat are transphobes, that's fine. I'll just keep talking to myself for a minute. But in reality, I know that they're immediately going to go make more alts because YouTube literally lets you make an alt just by hitting the little button. So they're going to be back in 5 minutes. But, like, you know, like, clearly I'm not a dude. I don't present as a dude. I've never have. And if you dude from me, that's your problem. That's not mine. I'm back. Oh my god, thank God for Disguise Rats, because it has been a fucking... These people have been retarded, bro. No, I ain't tripping about it. Don't worry. It is an oh my moment, though. Oh my. It definitely is an oh my moment. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, dude. Why do people get so bent out of shape about the fact that like another person is existing while trans? I don't get it, dude. There are a million things. That's the crazy thing about all of it to me, is that as a trans woman, there are a million things more important to me than someone's fucking gender expression, including my own. Like, I don't sit around and think all day about how I'm a fucking woman. I just exist. I dress how I want. I pick clothes that I think are pretty. I pick songs that I think are pretty to put on my playlist. You know, like, I just kind of exist and do the things that I do. And really the reason I'm trans is because the things that I like to do, the things that I like to take part in, for the most part, are described as feminine things. And I think, in my opinion, due to being raised in a culture that is so harshly gendered, I feel, I feel like a woman. I don't feel like a man. And I know that doesn't matter to a lot of people, but it really does if you really get to fucking talking to them. It matters pretty deeply to people. And I don't know why, because to me it's not something I spend a whole lot of time thinking about. At least not anymore. It was something I spent way more time thinking about before I came out as trans. Like before I started living this way, I thought about it a lot because it kind of like preoccupied me. And that's kind of what makes me wonder if that's what maybe is the problem of the transphobe. Are they just locked inside their own identity and feel like a prisoner of that and get mad at anyone who has freed themselves from that prison? That's what I feel like it is. Hey, I see that these comments are quite something. Something is a good way to put it. Disguised rats. I'm just gonna call you rats from now on. Because disguised rats is too many syllables. But anyway, I don't know. I don't live my life trying to be womanly or not be. And I don't, I don't live my life according to the expectations and mores of other people. That said, I'm defensive of my gender identity, and I think that's because they're they're definitely. I guess it's because I feel like no, you know what? I'm not even gonna try to make like some grandiloquent speech about it. Here's what it is. There are a shit ton of trans people in this country that will never get to come out, that will never get to discuss how they actually feel about themselves. They'll never get to think about, they'll never even get to think about dressing the way I dress. I mean, this is the most masculine outfit I've worn in like a fucking long time, at least on stream, and it's really masculine. There's short shorts and a tank top, which is not super mask. It's androgynous, I guess. But there are a shit ton of trans people in this country that actually have to go around pretending they're transphobic and straight and cisgender because the people in their lives would disown them and possibly hurt them if they ever confessed how they feel about their gender identity. And I think there's even more people that are really just sick of the whole game in general that would dismiss with it if they could. It's just so hard baked into our culture and the way we think about each other that most people a fantasy, but it's not. I'm glad you express yourself instead of letting society stop you from doing that. Well, thank you. It took me a long time to get there. I didn't come out as trans until I was 21 years old. Was I 21 or 22? No, I was 21. I had just turned 21 6 months before I came out as trans. I'd I'd been uh, I'd been identifying as non-binary for about a year before that. To my friends, like to my close friends, hadn't even talked to my mom about it or anything, but you know, I was kind of like playing with the idea of like, how would people feel if I was, somebody that kind of defied the gender spectrum a little bit. And what I figured out is that people didn't really care. Not people in my life, not people that I cared about. And so, you know, honestly, it's kind of cool. The night I kind of decided like I can't do this anymore. I can't keep living as a cis person, and I don't want to kill myself. So I have to come out as trans. Like I just have to tell people like I'm not a dude. I never related to that experience. I don't feel like I belong in any of those spaces. And the that happened because I was listening to this, which it's ironic because the person who wrote the song I was listening to is, as far as I know, kind of like a conservative kind of guy, and is a little bit turfy maybe. But I was listening to the Smashing Pumpkins song "Mayonnaise," which I think is actually supposed to be pronounced "My Own Eyes." Um, but I was listening to that song, and I was super super duper high. Which is not really that big shocker. Phoebe high, who could imagine it? But um, I was listening to that song, and there's this beautiful part. I'll play it for you guys real quick because I still remember how to play the song. All right. Cool enough to almost see it, fool enough to not quite be it, old enough to always feel this, always old, I'll always feel this. No more promise, no more sorrow. line just hit me like a ton of bricks. And it's the line, specifically the lyrics, old enough to always feel this, always old, I'll always feel this. No more promise, no more sorrow. No longer will I follow. Can anybody hear me? I just want to be me. And it may sound cheesy as fuck, and it probably is to some degree, but that shit changed my life. It literally did. It like snapped all into place. And the environment, like the room I built around myself, kind of, but that, like I'd been able to take that step into kind of like, I don't know, like decorating the way I always wanted to decorate. For the longest time, the entirety of my teenage years and shit, I had a very Spartan bedroom. I didn't really have anything up on the walls, and it was because I had one thing up, but I had one thing up on the walls and no other decorations because, you know, all the decorations I wanted to have were unmanly. So, you know what I mean? And nowadays, thankfully, and I really am appreciative of this development in society, nowadays dudes can have a fucking salt lamp and it's fine. Dudes can have fairy lights and all that kind of shit and it's fine. And they can have anime posters and it's fine. And that's cool. Not that I wanted anime posters. I'm just saying, like, you can have things that would have been, at least in my childhood and my teenage years, considered kind of like girly type of shit. Dudes can mostly have that type of thing in their bedrooms now and not be seen as like a weirdo for it, even by chicks that we'd normally consider cool. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Me in my teenage years, I think even if I had been born cis and had gotten to grow up as a girl, I think I probably would have balked at if I went into a bedroom like the one I had when I first came out as trans, like the first year there. Um, I, I probably would have balked myself if I went into a dude's bedroom and their bedroom looked like that because it was just not like a thing you could really do. And then COVID hit, and I think that made people kind of like, how do I put it? It like I think it drove a lot of people to kind of study new crafts and kind of try new things and do uh, really kind of like open themselves and work on themselves. And so a lot of people ended up becoming kind of like decorating minded when before they weren't. And so now I feel like you can genuinely have like any of the old decorations I would have had in my room. And, like nobody's going to think weirdly of you for it. But I don't know. When I was in my teenagers, I felt a huge degree of pressure that now that I really think about it, I don't even know if it was fair to put that pressure on myself because I don't really know that that pressure exists or existed. I mean, it just felt like it did. It felt like there was this pressure on me to be quote unquote manly. And, to be manly in that era, from what I could tell, was to have a Spartan bedroom. If you had a bed frame, that was as much decoration as you needed. If you were a fucking, dude in my childhood and my teenage years. And I don't know if that's changed any at all because, like, I constantly see memes where girls are fucking on dudes for having bedrooms like that. But I'm also constantly seeing dudes doing their Instagram lives and shit or whatever where they're clearly in a well decorated bedroom and they're also clearly single. So it's not someone else's decorating, it's them putting an effort into the appearance of the place that they live, which is kind of cool to see, honestly. I think it's a cool development, but I also think that kind of like, you know, old chauvinistic attitude of like beautiful things are for women and uh, practical, pragmatic things are for men. I think that probably still exists at the core of this culture. Rats is fine, or if you can remember my name. Uh, Al, or Al, if you can remember my name. I can remember Al. Yeah, I can remember Al because it makes me think of the song "Brother, Can You Spare a Dime." Once I built a railroad, I made it run. made it race against time. Once we built a railroad, now we're done. Brother, can you spare a dime? No, I'm just kidding. I don't need y'all's dimes. Oh man, that feels fucking good to say. This is gonna be a rant, but whatever. I don't even care that I only have one viewer. Listen, dude. For 2 years, I was reliant on the generosity of other people. Now, granted, I was doing something that I love, and I was doing an art form. I was busking. I was playing guitar, and I was singing. That's fucking work. That's legitimate labor. People pay you for it. If you're in Madison Square Garden, they should pay you for it if you're on the fucking town square. But it is a job that is inherently reliant on the perceptions of other people. And it's a job that's, because of its nature for me at least, was it it was very reliant on the generosity of other people. If you're in a town full of people who are kind of like miserly, or people that are like, so if you're in a town that's just full of people that are kind of fucking miserly, like too many rich fucks there, you're usually not going to make shit unless it's attracting a certain type of rich fuck that, you know, uh, that gets some of their like empathetic jollies off by giving to homeless people or people they perceive as homeless, which usually includes buskers, whether you're homeless or not. Um, that can be okay, but normally you get into an area with a bunch of stingy fucks, just they make too much to want to give somebody something, even if they're working for their dime. You're not going to get anything. You're not going to be able to stay there. You're going to have to leave. If you get to a place with generous people that just don't have a lot, dude, you'll get fruit. You'll get fucking weird veggies you don't even know how to eat. And the people who bring them by, they're like, you can eat these raw. You just gotta peel them first, but you can eat them raw. And it's like, dude, thank you so fucking much, man. And like, I don't remember what the point of that was, but I think it was just that like some places really suck to be doing that. Oh yeah, I remember now. So it's like it was a job that was reliant on the generosity of other people, right? The ability of myself and whoever I was traveling with to convince people that we were more entertaining, that we were a more entertaining thing to spend $5 on than, uh, oh, I don't know, like than buying a couple of 2 liters or something. Like just insert any random thing you could buy with $5 there, I guess. Like that was that was the whole of our job, is convincing people through our performance and through our personality that we were more interesting, that we were a more worthy spend of $5 than going into Walmart and buying a couple candy bars, or going to the gas station and buying a couple of ice creams or something. And to not have to rely on that, to to not to say I can't still do it. I could go busk if I wanted to, but I don't really feel the drive to, because right now I make just enough money with my job to support myself and my partner and help, you know what I mean? Like support the farm and shit. Like I'm making okay, you know what I mean? I'm doing okay for fucking Mississippi. Um, but I'm not reliant on the generosity of anybody. I'm relying on my own, verifiable labor. If I like, I've just seen how it worked. Like at first I didn't get a whole lot of hours because they were still testing me and everything. Now I usually get between 30 and 36 hours a week, average. It goes down in wintertime because season's dead, but I still get hours even during those weeks. And you know that it's important to me. I don't know how to put it. I really don't know how to explain it. It's just, it means a lot to me that I don't have to be reliant on the generosity of other people. That I can say something like, I don't need your dimes. Like, even if it was a joke. I don't know. That was a really long tangent, but whatever. When you get too old, you'll move like a walrus after riding a bike or take a hike in a sauna suit and lose the weight before you're unable to lose weight later in life. No, I'm definitely trying, dude. Normally I would say like that's a mean comment, but you know, no, I mean I already kind of move like a walrus if I'm like in pain, which I don't know. I've got this weird tendency to develop cellulitis in my joints. My fucking knee is fucked up right now, but So yeah, no, I've been so we have a natural spring here, and that means that I've got like fresh, good, tasty water available for free all the time. So I've been like replacing what, like, I drink like a big ass fucking thing of sweet tea all day long, and yeah, that's probably why I fucking weigh like 340 pounds or something. You know, it's like I take in so many calories in liquid form, and you know, I used to justify it to myself by thinking like, I don't ever eat in the morning. I don't ever eat at lunchtime. I always end up eating at night. And so I'm just giving myself calories for the morning. I'm just helping myself along. I'm just giving myself more energy. But I also realize that if you're drinking something like what I'm, you know, talking about with this fucking sweet tea, it's like southern ass fucking sugary sweet tea. It's like the place I work at that like RT is a pound of sugar per gallon. You know what I mean? Do the math on that. It's fucking incredibly high calorie shit. So I've been drinking more water principally because I know that's a big part of my calorie intake that's fucked. And I've been walking, and that, I don't know, that's helping, I think. It at least has been making me feel better, you know? And so far the plan is to like, I live out in the fucking country, so I don't really have like blocks or anything that I can walk around to use as like a measurement or anything. So I basically just calculated out what's a quarter mile, and so, you know, I do quarter mile there and then a quarter mile back, and it's a half mile. What's a quarter mile out? And I, you know, found that on the map, did the math for that, and then, you know, look, like, what's the next power, uh, like, what's the word what I'm looking for? The thing power lines are on. What are those things called? Light pole, telephone pole, utility pole. Utility pole. That's what it is. Utility pole. Uh, so I found what the, you know, the closest utility pole to that quarter mile marker was, and I started out going to that one, and then I went back. And that's half mile, and then every time I walk, I go an extra. You know, I go past that original utility pole and move on to the next one, and then the next one. And the hope is that I can walk a complete circuit in a couple of months between, like, I don't want to do it on the highway because fucking people drive like mad around here, but I could do like most of a complete circuit all the way up to the other outlet of the road I live on, and then theoretically could come back on the highway if I wanted to, but I'm not gonna because I'm an idiot. So I'd be going the other, you know, whatever, the other distance down the main road. Hey, I'm working on it. It's not an overnight process. And I will also say, now that I have copped to the fact that I need to lose weight, uh, every fat person knows they're fat. It's, I feel like people think they're being helpful with that. And maybe they genuinely are. Because, like, I know as a person who's healthy in other areas, when I see someone doing something that's self-destructive that I've gotten over, my heart calls out to them to want to correct that behavior. So maybe it is just a genuine empathy. Tell you what, Mega Gym Boss, are you being genuinely empathetic, or are you just trying to diss on a fat person? Because if you're just trying to diss on a fat person, I'm not going to ban you. I'm just curious. Like, I'm legitimately just curious if it comes from a place of empathy or if it comes from a place of vitriol. So, I don't know. Dude's probably not even listening anymore, but whatever. If anybody else is that kind of person, you know, like, not that kind of person makes it sound weird. If anybody else has the tendency to comment on other people's weight just kind of out of nowhere, maybe you can answer. Does it come from, like, you know, like, is it just like, that's probably an effective button on that person? Or is it like, man, that person shouldn't die when they're fucking 55? That would be a real shame. You know? Like, I'm just genuinely curious because I usually don't engage with a comment like that this far, and so it's got me thinking about y'all more than I normally do. By the way, this is autistic rocking, not anxious rocking. I know they can be very similar. It looks very strange on camera, but I don't even care. Whatever. Strange people get views too. In fact, I find that they tend to get more views than non-strange people. Ah, man, wouldn't that be the biggest irony in the world, is that I'm, like, actually fairly normal, which I probably am. Like, autism is probably pretty common in the population at this point. Being trans isn't super common, but it's common enough. It doesn't make me special. Let's see, being white is fucking the most common thing in this country, you know? Like, I guess I'm pretty fucking normal, come to think of it. I don't know. I like to think of myself as, like, super special, but I kind of just assume everybody does and justify it to myself using that logic. I'll be back. My phone's about to die. I don't know. Mod's asleep. Post fat hate. I'm just kidding. I don't give a shit. Post fat hate if you want. I don't care. I need it as a motivator. No, that's I shouldn't have said that, because now people are gonna think I'm serious. I don't need your fucking hate as a motivator. But whenever, see, this thing is, hate doesn't motivate me, but genuine empathy does. And every so often, somebody commented on my weight the other day, and it's been ringing in my head ever since, probably because it was someone else. And it made me think, and it's like, man, I really do, because, like, the problems that I have with my joints would become so much more manageable if I didn't have so much weight to lug around. So it's like, but I don't know. I feel like every fat fuck has this fucking conversation with themselves, you know? Um, and so I just genuinely keep wondering, like, what does inspire that sort of commentary out of people? No, don't do that. Don't do what? What should I not do? I don't even remember what I said I was going to do. When I said, yeah, never mind. I got candy. He'll sit on my shoulder if I put him up there. I mean, he'll get up on my shoulder of his own volition sometimes, but I think it's a fun demonstration to show that he's able to just kind of chill out on me. You can see now he's, like, actually getting into a comfortable position. So now he'll just chill in this spot. He will straight up just chill in this spot for as long as I allow him to. I can get up with him like this. I can walk around the farm with him on my shoulder like a fucking parrot. It's kind of adorable. He's a super loving kitty. Oh my goodness, what's Kitty's name? His name is Creamsicle, because he's all white with a little dash of cream. Or no, he's all white with a little dash of orange, just like an orange dreamsicle. He's got that one little spot of orange, and then he's all white all over. Sweet Creamsicle, sign by me. Oh yes. I love you too, Kitty. Well, anyway, what the fuck were we talking about? Oh man, I love him. I love this cat. I genuinely do. Of course, how could you not? Cats are just such lovable beings. They're the most fascinating fucking thing. To me, they are the most interesting example of evolution to be found. Because cats are a perfect example of how one trait can do, or one specialization, say, can do so many different things. So, cat's specialization for being so stealthy and so quiet when moving. Kitty. Their specialization for being able to be so stealthy in you know, so stealthy in their movements and their stalking, it can be in two different ways. Number one, it helps them get closer to their prey, and the closer you are to your prey, the easier it is to make that kill, and the easier it is to secure that kill. And number two, because they are prey, it helps them hide from predators way better. they can sit totally unnoticed by a lot of predators, where another animal would make a lot, make a bunch of noise, or would be too large or be obvious, not camouflaged enough. A cat can just kind of like chill and somehow make itself seem like it just belongs there. And if they do have to run away, they've got the ability to run super fucking quickly, but they've also got the ability to, if something hasn't spotted them and started chasing them, they can get away really quietly and make it not really clear where they went. So it's like a double. It's like a double-edged specialization. It helps them in so many different ways. It helps them hunt, and it helps them not be hunted. I just think that's fucking beautiful. And it's like, I don't know, cats I think are like, a great example of how evolution really just selects for whatever you need given the environment you're in. So it's like cats were, this tiny little, this really, like this thing sized fucking animal that, it was like a small predator class type of animal, like a ferret or something. And it fucking, its environment demanded excellent ears, so excellent ears it got. Its environment demanded that it be able to perceive things with lightning quick reflex, so it got whiskers, and it got, the all the fucking crazy organs that cats have that make them able to do that shit. They needed the ability to fucking counterbalance their weight, so they developed this long articulate tail. They needed the ability to climb things rapidly, but to also be able to be super uber duper quiet in leafy forests and areas like that. So they've got these retractable claws that allow them to, you know they can go like sport mode if they need to, but they can also go eco mode. They're just beautiful. Cats are amazing. They're also heavy, and having this fucker on my shoulder is at sometimes sort of ache inducing. I love him. Isn't he great? What if I want to do other things? But what if I want to do other stuff though? Kitty. You don't care, do you? You just want to do other things. He doesn't give a shit. If I want him to go, I gotta remove him. Ah, there you go. You lay down there. I've never met a cat besides him that you can just kind of like push over and he'll stay there. I love cats. My Meemaw was called the crazy cat lady. She used to own about 30 of them. I believe it. I could see myself being the crazy cat lady at some point. Because, I don't know. I love watching cats. I love watching how they operate. I love watching their politics and shit. The only way I could have a colony of cats, though, is if I knew they were fucking spayed and neutered, because a colony of 30 cats turns into a colony of 200 cats super quickly. I don't think I would ever have 30, honestly. I could have like 10 cats, though. I could see myself having that if I had like a really big house. And like, honestly, I'm one of those people that always thinks about like, what would I do if I won the lottery? And one of the things I always think I would do is I would whatever house I had, I wouldn't get like some retardedly huge house. I would get like a house that made sense for the family I want to have, for the types of rooms that I want to have, which would probably be a fairly large house if I had my druthers, but wouldn't be the biggest house on the fucking block. You know what I mean? But I would have more than a catio, bro. I would set up the most fucking decked out, crazy fucking outdoor area for my cats that you've ever seen. They would have their own little access hatch for it and a couple of tunnels going in from other parts of the house to lead into it. And they'd have all kinds of fucking toys out there, and it would all be surrounded by chicken wire and then that regular fucking mesh shit. Probably the mesh would probably be on the outside because less of a chance of the cats fucking getting to it. In fact, what I'd probably end up doing is putting like 6 inches of space between the chicken wire layer and the the insect screening because cats will fucking cut shit up, but they can't cut chicken wire. And I would just build them like the biggest fucking catio that I could, like a whole ass like 25 by 40 space just for the cats to exist in. And I put some like picnic tables out there and some like human stuff too. You know what I mean? So that way, anytime you want to go hang out with the cats, you just fucking go hang out with the cats. There's like a gate, there's like a door leading in from the house, there's like a door leading, through the yard and everything. And you can just fucking hang out with the cats anytime you want. They can go in and out as they want. I would totally have some shit like that. Oh my god. But that's just one of the many things that I would do if I had that kind of fucking money. It was a lot. I lived with her a good amount of my life, so every day I'd wake up to about 10 cats on me. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, cats are like, they're sweet little babies. Like, this little dude has literally been trying to ride on my shoulders for the last 10 minutes, so I can imagine. Cats are good dogs, though. Dude, I'm so jealous of people that, well, I'm not jealous, I guess, but sometimes I do feel like, I guess, a tinge of envy for people who grew up with grandmas that were like kind of halfway cool. My grandma was kind of halfway cool, but she was also like totally mean, and we had to live with her for about 6 months when I was 14, I think. My mother's cat Boomer does that too. Twinkie, Boomer's brother, will get on your back and try to eat your scalp. I think you might have needed some commas there, but I get what you're trying to say. Yeah, dude, I'm really lucky that this one, the creamsicle, never tries to like attack my scalp or anything. But my partner, dude, like, he will fuck with Silas. Like, even though Silas is the one who adopted him and held him, through and slept with him, doted over him, and still does. But they've got like this kind of crazy rapport where like the kitty just gets so excited and he's very clearly like happy when he's around Silas, but it's like he gets this like manic energy, which makes sense because Silas has a kind of manic energy about them most of the time, and he will just go ape shit and just randomly attack their hand out of nowhere, will bite their fucking face out of fucking absolutely nowhere. It's like that tiny little orange patch of his head make like it gave him orange cat genes or something. Hell yes, I did. Or wait, yes, I did, but I'm slowly drifting away to the land of the dreaming. Ah, yeah. No, what time is it, dude? I'm probably up late. Oh, fuck yeah, it's 12:34. I have to wake up and take the Silas to work like 8:30 in the morning. Oh, no, that's not true. Well, I have to wake up at like 8:30 in the morning, but I don't have to take them to work till like 10 or something. So it's not like I'm on a strict schedule, and I'm the fucking type of motherfucker that can usually sleep like 5 hours and be fine. So I am not personally drifting off to sleep. But that's one of the reasons why I decided to stream, because I was like, I'm up. I know I'm up. I'm fucking up. I don't know if tonight will be an insane 4 a.m. for me. Yeah, no, it's you must be on the East Coast, right? I think we talked about that. Yeah, you're in Michigan, right? Right? I think so. Yeah, that makes sense. A little bit ahead. Just a wee little bit ahead of me. This is one of the weirdest spots in the central time zone, though. The spot where I'm at, because I'm far enough to the east of the main part of the central time zone that times get weird here at certain parts of the year. Like, there are parts of the year where it doesn't get completely dark until like 9 p.m., which I feel like in Missouri is never the case. Like, it's always dark by at latest like 8:30 or something, 8:15, something like that. But down here, I don't know. Like, it's just I don't even know how to put it. It's just time is fucking weird down here because we're so close to the Eastern time zone, but we're not quite in it. So weird shit. Yes, Michigan. If I still lived in Indiana, it would be 12:35 a.m. Yeah, dude, Indiana's a weird fucking state. So you're from Indiana. Can you, or not from Indiana, but you've lived in Indiana. Confirm or deny? Indiana's a weird fucking state that you would not choose to be in, right? Indiana felt like a fucking fever dream to me, dude. I swear to God, the entire state of Indiana is under construction. Dude, so I lived in my van for about 2 years, and I had to go through Indiana like 4 or 8 times, like probably like 8 or 10 times. Like, let me think here. So there was the time that I first got on the road in March of 2021. I had to go through Indiana twice then, once going east and once going west. So that's twice I had to go through Indiana. Or when I say Indiana, really, I don't think all of Indiana is under construction, but is all of Indianapolis under fucking construction? Because did they just start building that town 10 years ago or something? Because I swear to God, I had to go through Indy like, let's see, 1, 2, right, and then I ended up going out that way again to travel with that same person. 1, 2, once again. And then another time going back east, another time going back west, another time going back east. So 7 times I've been through fucking Indy. I used to live in Indiana. It's a strange place. It is a strange place. So cool sites there. There are. I mean, like, there's cool shit in every state. I stand behind the fact that America's just a fucking fascinating place. You can find cool shit anywhere, but it's just a fucking weird place. It's a weird place because, number one, I associate the Midwest with a weird sort of fucking friendliness. It's not quite Southern friendliness. It's not as syrupy and glucose ridden as Southern hospitality, but it's something of its own breed of that. It's, like, I associate the Midwest with this sort of just barely not sickly sweet sort of friendly attitude that comes off of the cashiers and the people that you interact with and strangers and shit like that. And I did not detect a fucking sour drop of that in Indiana. Not the barest note, man. I don't know if it's because of the fucking, like, because literally the only places I ever stopped in Indiana were in the big cities and in the tiniest towns you've ever seen. So I didn't get any of the middle of the road experience, and maybe that's why I didn't encounter uh, the most familiar aspect of the Midwest to me. But it was just fucking weird because of that reason. Agree with y'all. It's strange, but I love it. I'm from Evansville, Indiana. Uh, okay, because because I'm clearly kind of an Indiana, uh, you know, I'm not gonna say a hater, but because I'm an Indiana disliker and I haven't become very familiar with the state. Where's Evansville? Like, what highway is it near? Is it like, is it near 70? Is it near I-70 by any chance? And it's okay to love fucking like. Listen, I love Mississippi on some level, and I'm like, look at me, you know what I mean? And granted, I live in Mississippi, but still, like, like I I grew up here, and I know it's weird proclivities, and I know how its people work, and I know how people feel about it and each other, and I kind of like some of the attitudes. There's a bunch of shit I love about Mississippi. There's a bunch of shit I don't like, but a lot of it honestly just comes down to the fact that this fuck's allowed to be owned and controlled by corporations because people that are in power are fucking dynastic motherfuckers that have been in power, their families have been in power forever and ever, and the people who could beat them don't even bother to run down here because everybody who opposes those people are convinced that it doesn't work, doesn't matter, and they shouldn't vote. So it is what it is, but I love the fucking culture that exists down here for the most part. There's aspects of it I don't like. People drive like they ain't got nowhere to go down here. I'll tell you that much. And that annoys me. People either drive like they ain't got nowhere to go, or they're fucking hauling ass in such a profoundly unsafe way that you wonder how they still have a vehicle, even. I'm from Ellettsville. Man, every fucking town in Indiana ends with Ville. It's a small town that borders Bloomington. Hey, I know where Bloomington's at. Right on. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's pretty dope, actually. Okay. Hey, y'all feel more familiar to me now. You know what? Indiana ain't all that bad. It produced you two cool motherfuckers. I'm thinking about moving back down there after this year. All right, so okay, y'all are from there and y'all seem to like what's so cool about it because like I said, when I went there, I just got to experience two very weird extremes that I know living in one of those extremes in a weird state myself, I know that those don't give you the best impression of an area. I know that you got to go to a place with like not a shit thousand fucking not shit tons of people, but not 12 people. Like I know you've got to have that middle of the road experience, and I never had that in Indiana. I got to experience two very weird extremes of it. So maybe y'all can explain to me what's like what would drive you to move back down there and to drops a lot. What makes it cool to you? Because I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say about the state, given that you're from it and seem to like it. This is dead air. That's my bad though. But no, I don't know. I'm interested in the answer. I liked it because Evansville is a small town. You can basically know everyone if you want to. They have cool car shows if you're into that. Okay, so that's cool. So it's got like some auto industry ties maybe that make it kind of like a classic car lover's paradise. I could get into that. I mean that I dig that. Like I'm not the biggest classic car aficionado myself. Like I can't list off models and makes that are fucking amazing. I guess I could a few, but you know what I mean. It's not something I can flex because it's not something I have like the most immediate interest in. But I've also never lived in a town where car shows happened often. I've always wanted to go to one because I really do have an appreciation for these old beasts of technology that we're able to keep running, and we are able to keep them running. Some of them 100 years after they were made. 100 fucking years. and these motherfuckers are still going. There are Mercedes-Benz patent cars still running from the 18 fucking hundreds. Eat that one. That's fucking nuts. You've got the TJ Rock down bad. Dude, listen, you know what? I should, I'm surprised I haven't mentioned that to him. But, like, honestly, I as soon as I was like probably like 19 when I first heard someone, I think it was like Ben, make fun of TJ for his like the rock thing. I called it autistic rocking, not anxious rocking earlier, or something like that. And I was like 19 the first time I heard one of them make fun of him for that kind of, or poke fun at it, and I watched him and I realized, man, we've got the same fucking pace and everything, and we do that just like back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. I don't know. For me, it's like some people would say it's self-soothing behavior. To me, it doesn't even feel like that. To me, it feels like fucking automatic. I don't know. It almost feels like meditative. New Mexico. Uh, New Mexico's a fucking dope state. Shout out to New Mexico. Um, New Mexico is literally the coolest place I've ever been. I would 100% move there if I could. In fact, it's kind of where I want to move right now. Like, I love New Mexico with a deep, burning passion. My favorite town there is Ruidoso. It's just tremendously beautiful. Even after the fires, I think it's still a pretty fucking town. It's magical. And there's so many little roads in that town. It's so easy to get lost there. It's just so beautiful. I live in Cali now. I think I miss the snow a lot. Also, everything is super close considering the state is fairly small. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. That is one benefit of, and I know what you mean living in Mississippi, being a kind of small state myself. I know what you mean. It is kind of nice having everything so close, although I am personally, like, I don't know, to me, I like both sides of it. I like a state like, for example, New Mexico. You have to kind of go on a road trip to get to one of the big cities too. You know what I mean? Or like you've got to be willing to drive 2 hours or whatever. I kind of like that because what that means is like, I don't know. This is gonna sound nerdy as fuck, but if you look at the world as kind of like an open world video game, and it's not, obviously, we're real as we can be, right? But if you look at it like that, land is basically places where things can happen. You know what I mean? Land is um, a canvas for experiences to happen on. The more land you've got, the more chances for interesting experiences. So, like, I kind of like having a giant fucking expanse of land that you have to go through to get to another spot, because 9 times out of 10 there's going to be some beautiful overlooks on that drive. There's going to be some beautiful geological areas and geographical areas and just crazy shit you can do, points of interest, and I love that type of shit. And I also loved Cali. Honestly, Cali was a fucking really cool state. I personally loved the Central Valley because it kind of reminded me of like the South, if it was at least smart enough to legalize weed. You know what I mean? And like that speaks to me. You know what I mean? It's got sort of a libertarian-y, redneck-y kind of feel to me as a passive visitor. But I really thought it was cool. I thought the coast was fucking beautiful, and the weather there is, I don't know, dude. That's another place. Like, if I could live there all year round, that would be the fucking shit. And I guess if I stayed in my van, I probably could have lived there year round. TBH. I probably would have had to find some adjacent uh, town to go into for a few weeks at a time, and then come back out. I don't know. I would have had to figure it out or something. But I know there's people that I've networked in the dirty kid community with fucking people that live like fucking beach bums. So I know it's a fucking thing people do. But anyway. Point is, it was fucking so pretty. It was so nice. Agree with drops. Even in Evansville, everything like stores, restaurants, parks, pretty close. Also the snow. Y'all, listen. I would love snow a lot more if my ass could trust the drivers around here. And like, listen, fucking look up news reports about the snow that hit this year in the South. It'll blow your fucking mind. Mississippi normally doesn't get snow, period, point blank. This year, we got like 12 inches or some shit. We got like, what? It literally shut down all business for like 5 days. Not even kidding you. Nothing moved in Mississippi for 5 straight days because we got a bunch of snow. And I know how to live in the snow because I grew up in fucking Missouri, where we get snow every year. And it was a fundamental part of my mom teaching me how to drive, is taking me out driving once when it just fucking snowed and it was pretty slushy. She knew it was safe enough for me to learn how to drive on, but slushy enough for me to get the idea. And I fucking know what to do in snow. The problem is, these Mississippi fucks don't know what to do on snow. I can't blame them because their state didn't get snow fucking 10 years ago. Or it did, but fucking so rarely. Now, it's every fucking year we get a massive fucking snowstorm. So I don't know. But I guess really that's a complaint of the infrastructure here. It's not so much a complaint against snow. I do love snow. I think it's really pretty, and I'm fine with driving in it if I have to. And it usually gets plowed pretty quickly in states that have proper infrastructure. And everything being super close nearby, guys, I will cop to that being a really cool thing. Honestly, that is 100% cool. I used to live in North Adams, Massachusetts for a little while, and that was what I loved about that town. It was the fact that I could go to I could go anywhere in that town within 15 minutes driving time. Literally anywhere. And there's a lot of places that if I wanted to, like let's say I wanted to go to the bank and then buy some household goods and then get a pizza. I could literally just park my car downtown and walk to all those places. 5-minute walk between each of them. It was fucking amazing. It's one of the most populated downtowns I've ever seen in my life. It was beautiful. It was beyond beautiful. That place is fucking magical. It's a fucking treasure of a fucking town. And that is a really fucking cool thing about a town like that. Like, it is magical and it is worth preserving. I 100% agree. I live in the desert in Cali. Oh my god, then you're in my favorite fucking environment, bro. That is amazing. I fucking love the desert. I could move to a more green area here, but I miss the trees and forests in Indiana. However, I don't miss the tornadoes. So tornadoes are not super scary to me because my family lived through a pretty crazy one and I saw how we recovered from it. So I guess they don't hold the same fear for me, but I do still have like a very kind of human fear reaction when I see a funnel cloud and when I see tornadoes developing. It hits me right in the core, and that, you know, it just takes me back to when a fucking tornado, it literally picked up one of our brooders that was full of live chicks and tossed it onto the railroad. Luckily, some railroad crew that was siding out actually helped my dad move it off the railroad and reposition it in the storm, and he in the storm got some chain and chained that motherfucker to the roots of the tree that they set it on. Not even lying. I'll show you guys on stream next time I'm down there. It's chained to the roots of the tree so it can't be thrown by another tornado, which is why it's never been moved since that point. But anyway, tornadoes are nothing to fuck with, and I can imagine why you wouldn't miss them, because that's one less natural disaster that can fuck your day up, you know? And let's see, miss the trees and forests. And yeah, trees and forests, I feel like you can get those in most places, but the trees and forests of Indiana and the Midwest in particular, they're a different thing, right? Like, they have a very distinct character to them, and I don't know that you could find that in California, although some people would argue that you would find better. I love Ruidoso, New Mexico. Hey, that's the first time I've actually had somebody recognize that fucking town, so that's so cool. What a cool dude. Yeah, it is a beautiful place. I haven't been there in years, though. It probably looks way different than you remember it. I ain't even gonna lie to you, because last time I went there, it was post-fires, and it had already been through some fires in previous years, so it's looking pretty fucking different nowadays. Were the casinos there when last time you visited? I feel that snow ice is dangerous. It 100% is. If it's not being cleaned up, it's even more dangerous. Last year I got in a car crash because of the ice, and a man that wasn't looking. Don't recommend getting one. No, dude. I 100% know what you mean. I actually was in a really horrible car crash, not due to ice, but basically due to an equipment failure on an old Ford Focus that I had. Um, basically my what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Like the steering thing, like the steering pump, the power steering pump went out, and I lost power steering control, and I was fucking just exhausted that day because I had not gotten a lot of sleep because me and one of my roommates were fighting through most of the night, and I just didn't have the fucking strength or the I like it didn't hit me as quickly as it needed to for me to be able to like manually fucking turn the wheels on this big sharp curve I was coming around. That normally I would have been able to just, I wasn't going that fast, but I was going fast enough to heel off the side of a curve, hit a telephone pole, and I actually hit it. I don't even know if I can tell the story. Yeah, I can. Fuck it. Whatever, dude. It's fucked. And so I hit it with so much force. It's a miracle that I fucking survived this. And I know that because that's what the fucking fireman dude that was like the fucking dude with the fucking jaws of life that rescued me out of that fucking car. That's basically what he said. He said the most grim shit ever. I'll never forget it. He said, kid, you're really lucky. Most people that uh, most people that we come to, clean up crashes like this, like we're not really expecting to rescue a person. We're usually expecting to like recover a body. So just, say a prayer to whatever God you believe in, because that's like, it. I don't know. I'm, I, this many years on, I struggle to remember the exact wording, but the part I remember is, "You're really lucky, kid. Most of the time, we're not coming to recover, to save someone. We're coming to clean up a body." It's just like a fucking crazy, like, I don't, look, that was just a crazy thing to lay on me and while I'm sitting in the fucking back of an ambulance, number one. And number two, it made me fucking realize how fucking crazy it was. And I think he was right, because what happened is I hit it with so much force, this telephone pole, that this is the pole, this is my car. Such force that I levy against it that I I basically caused it to fucking like tilt over onto my car from what they explained. So they had to get so it took them like 2 hours to rescue me out of that car, because they had to get the electric company out there, they had to get the fire department out there, they had to get an ambulance out there, obviously. There was a sheriff out there. Dude, I still can't believe I got a fucking ticket for that shit. Now, granted, the judge, she didn't dismiss it, but she fucking, she was, I explained what happened. She was like, I basically defended myself. I didn't even realize I was, but, next time I had my court date, she was like, you know, the, it was like, I don't even remember how she worded it, but basically, if I look up the way that case got resolved, it was like, you know, guilty, but there was an equipment malfunction kind of thing. I don't even know how to. I, I'm fucking. I'm so fucking tired that I don't remember what it fucking said, and I don't have another phone, so I can't look up CaseNet and figure it out. So fuck it. Um, but yeah, so finish telling that story real quick. So basically, it took them like 2 hours to get me out of that car because they had to lift the telephone. They had to lift the telephone pole back up off of my car and shut down like they had to shut down like a half mile of the electrical grid basically to rescue my ass. So it took them a long ass time. And then once they finally got the electric poles or like the electrical cables, because the reason why they had to do that is because it was laying in such a way that not only did it make it hard to access and get around, but it was also actively electrifying the outside of the vehicle. And I'll never forget another thing that fucking fireman said. He was like, as soon as he got the window cut open and he was looking down at me, he was like, "Sorry it took so long to get to you. We were trying. We had to get this. Oh, there's a light pole that fell over on you. We had to get that up because it was electrifying the outside of your car. You're really lucky that you didn't try to get out because it would have electrocuted you to death." And I was like, yeah, I mean, I tried, which I genuinely had, but I passed out for a minute when I first impacted. But then when I woke up, I tried to like wrestle open the outside of it, but it was being held down by fucking wires and dirt, so I wasn't able to. Oh god, dude, I don't know, I can't. All right, y'all have heard the fucking cool story. End of the story is, I went to the hospital, and the fee was only like $35 because that hospital was like well funded or whatever. I don't fucking know, but it was actually affordable healthcare in America for once. I remember that. It being the only medical bill I was ever able to pay up front. Um, and I remember getting a ticket, which at first the cop was like, "It's probably gonna be like a $250 ticket," but then the judge was like, "Yeah, I think your fucking power steering fucking system fucking failed," and gave me like the minimum, which was like $25 plus court costs, so like $50. So fucked up. Um, to this day, when I tell that story, I can still like smell the distinct smell of oil, antifreeze, gasoline, and battery acid all kind of mixing together. There's a car crashes have a smell. I'll just put it that way and move on because I don't want to keep reliving it. Meanwhile, Johnny and the fucking Insatiable Void, you are a known quantity on Paul's channel, and I trust you implicitly. Oh no! I did the wrong thing! Oh my god, I'm a retard! Oh my god, I can't believe I just did that. No! Oh my god. I'm such a fucking dumb fuck. Dude, I was trying to fucking mod you up, and I fucking banned your ass. Oh, I'm a fucking lol cow, bro. Anyway. God, dude, I hope. Ella, okay. I'm glad you didn't take it the wrong way. I felt so bad. I was like, fucking god damn it. Dude, it's muscle memory. I'm so used to only bringing up that menu to ban dumb fucks. But I want to make sure nobody else bans you, and I want you to, you know, I don't know if you ever feel like helping clear out dumb fucks. There was a flood of them earlier. You know, you can if you want to. But mostly it's just because, like, you're a cool fucking cat. I know you're not going to abuse it. To be fair, I was a kid in Indiana and never had to drive. It would probably be nerve-wracking now. Yeah, they had a casino in Rito's one I visited, but that was in the late 90s. Yeah, I think it's been there for a pretty fucking hot minute. So, but yeah, that's fucking crazy. You should go back because it's a fucking cool ass town still. Welcome to the wrench team, Johnny. Yeah, welcome to the wrench fucking team. I'll add it to my massive pile of mod chips. Hey, dude, you fucking deserve it because you're a fucking cool cat. Like I said, and you know how to keep the fucking conversation from being retarded. Really, is what it is. Like that. I think that's what me and everybody else sees in you. Is just like, you know, you can trust good old Johnny not to let shit get retarded in your chat. Oh my god, my dumbass stays losing lighters, y'all. Wait, never mind, it's right here. Aw, thanks. Nah, for real, dude. You're cool. I've always thought you were one of the cool fucking people in Paul's chat and in the regular chats too. You've got a fucking razor sharp wit, and that makes you a cool addition to a chat. Let's see. I feel like I missed some shit in that. Oh yeah, I was gonna respond to drops a lot. So, uh, yeah, no. To me, Indiana, specifically Indianapolis, was nerve-wracking to drive in because it seems like that whole city is just under construction. Indianapolis literally feels like they just started building the city about 20 years ago and never really finished. And I think it's because they're making big, they're like redoing this major thoroughfare in Indianapolis. I think and it's taking them like 5 years or something. And it has as a result made the entire city kind of feel under construction because there's like also these big like lane addition projects and extra road projects going on the outskirts of Indy. So it's just like that is a nerve-wracking spot to drive in. Number one, because all of this traffic that would doing its own thing, going whatever way it needs to, is being concentrated in two specific directions, which doesn't do good things. It's like a massive roundabout that goes all around the city and takes you like 2 hours to traverse. It's just like not it's not a very fun place to drive to me. Regular Indiana is honestly fine to drive in. I love long drives through cornfields. Like, what can I say? I love a long drive through the Midwest. Long drives don't bother me. Drives around fucking a bunch of fucking people bother me because I trust myself. I don't trust you broadly, meaning other human beings. Like I don't trust that the average driver out there has my best interests at heart, even if I do have their best interests at heart as well as my own. I think that there's too many idiots on the road for me to really feel comfortable ever driving in a place that has that many fucking drivers. That being said, I'm able to do it, but that's what is nerve wracking for me. Oh, Indianapolis. Yes, it's so ugh. Yeah, no, like someone finally agrees with me. Yeah, that town is fucking ugh. The rest of Indiana is I. Indianapolis sucks pig ass. I hear you. I hate the issues with everything being under construction. I have to deal with that where I live sometimes too. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like it's not a big deal as long as it ends fairly quickly or as long as it's not causing major issues. But I just feel like in that one particular area, I don't know, maybe there was nothing they could do because I know Indianapolis is a huge city with a lot of shit that people do. Like the Indy 500 is there. So, like, it's got to be a pretty fucking intense city. So maybe there's just that many people and there's really no other way to fucking scale people through there. But I really feel like there's got to be something they could have done to make that city feel a little bit less nerve wracking to go through if you're just a random fuck. No, King. I fancy myself a pretty good driver. Yeah, me too. I mean, like, I feel like I am, and like Geico says, I'm an alright driver. Got good reflexes, and I keep my head on a swivel. Even so, I must have had a half dozen close calls in the year while I was doing DoorDash. Dude, DoorDash will introduce you to that shit like nothing else because you're driving in the city all the time. Even if you're going to deliver to rural areas, you're not picking up in rural areas. You're picking up in the middle of fucking goddamn God's fucking godforsaken inner city bullshit. You know what I mean? Like where the fucking roads stop making any sort of sense. The drivers are just so many that it's nerve wracking to just be around them. Like DoorDash will fucking have you making close calls all the time just as a product of being out on the road so much in a place with so many fucking other drivers that aren't paying attention. Tuned out fucks that aren't even really fucking paying attention to the drive. They're scrolling through their fucking phone. Like they're fucking reading Facebook, but they're driving. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I avoid Hartford like the plague. Hartford, Connecticut? People drive like they don't know being hit by 1,500 pounds of metal is fatal. Exactly. It's like they don't acknowledge the fact that if their vehicle gets touched by that amount of force, it's going to result in a fucking it's going to result in a real-time physics very painful and costly for both parties, if not fatal. it's just, yeah, dude, that's a good way to put it, dude. The way I was talking about earlier, people drive around here like they either ain't got nowhere to be. So either people are driving like they ain't got nowhere to be, or they're, as you said, driving like they don't know 1,500 pounds of metal going at 60 miles an hour is a lethal weapon. And it's just, it's insane to watch that sort of stupidity writ large just in front of your eyes. It's so fucking frustrating. Yes, especially the new drivers thinking they can make their own rules. Oh God, no! My friend brags about how she drives past 100 on the side road. I was that person once, and I'm just lucky I'm still alive. Like, I'm 26 now, and I'm fucking thankful and very lucky that I made it that far. Because I used to be prone to that kind of shit too. I'd be like, fucking, especially when I had my Chrysler 200, that thing could actually fucking get up and go sometimes. And so I would kind of brag about it. I'd be like, y'all want to feel what this thing can do? And I'd fucking, put my foot in it, and fucking we'd take off down the fucking, like you said, a side road or something. It's just, like I said, especially given the tires I had on that thing, it's just a miracle I'm still fucking alive. And that's so irresponsible. That's why, like, I used to be anti self-driving car. More and more, I'm kind of like thinking like cars should be self-driving, but we shouldn't be talking about cars at this point. We should be talking about bringing back short line railroads. We should be talking about bringing back public transportation in all sorts of forms. And we need to start talking about driverless cars as an addendum to that process. We need to start thinking about what it like we need to start thinking about real solutions to the problem of you have to have a car or you die in this country, because that's fucking untenable. And there's too many people that live under that horrible fucking weight for no reason. I'm truly sorry for her. She enjoys doing that thing where you swing the car side to side. Yes, it's silly, but not when you're going 100. Dude, that is not silly. Dude, at 100 miles an hour, that is a death wish. I would never ride with a person that did that. Like, fucking, I don't play with that shit, especially after my crash. I just can't. I don't have, uh, you know, I just don't have that, capacity. I would vomit, and then I would ask to get out of their vehicle, and I would not be anywhere near them after that. I couldn't. I could never, dude. I would spend the rest of my day thinking of all the ways it could have went wrong and all the ways I could have died and how close my life, how my life just teetered on a knife's edge for a second. Fuck that, dude. That's how you roll. That's how who rolls. Now I'm confused. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. Roll over your car by swaying it. Oh, oh my God, Johnny, you'll have to forgive me. I've been in a lot of pain, and I had to take I had to take like an ibuprofen 800 and a fucking acetaminophen and this weird fucking HHC thing that I got from the gas station. My brain is all over the place. Um, you know, some would say I'm retarded. Some would be right. That is how you roll, though, for real. That literally. Yes, Johnny, I tell her that. Well, you need to start telling her with your presence, dude, honestly. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, I guess. Like, you do you, but I would not do that, Al. I would, I would, uh, I would be like, listen, I ain't with you no more if you're gonna be doing crazy shit, because I know you say you understand when I tell you like what this could happen, but like I'm not trying to be a fuddy duddy, but it's just not like I want to live a few more years, maybe. Like it'd be nice to see early 30s, I don't know how old you are. I'm just saying, like, if it was me, I'd be saying this is what I'd be saying. I'd be like, you know, I want to be 40 maybe someday. I'm not going to be 40 if I spend the next 2 weeks until you get over this I'm a Fast and Furious character obsession or whatever weird shit is going on in your head that's causing you to drive like a maniac. I'm not going to be around then if I do that now because I'm going to fucking die in your fucking car being driven like a fucking maniac. So quit it or I'm gonna find a different ride and we can hang out at a fucking place where I ain't gotta get in your car. Sound good? That's how I would do it. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm not saying I know your situation. I'm not saying you should take my advice because, well, hey, look at me. You know what I mean? Whatever. That's what I would do. It was a good prompt for that sort of thing. Because, I don't know, I would not endanger yourself like that. Because your life is worth more than you know, a pancake on a road somewhere. Better she learn the lesson as easily as possible. God forbid she mows down somebody's kid by fucking around and not paying attention. Dude, that's the fucking sad thing is her fucking around now could crash her into a fucking whole, like a van full of toddlers or whatever, you know what I mean? Uh, yeah. Like, think about it if you're a fucking pedestrian, dude. Dude, some shit happened to me one time, Johnny, that I will never stop thinking about. I know I've said that a lot in this stream, but whatever. Shit sticks with you, you know? One time, I'm not kidding y'all, I saved somebody's life one night. And I'll tell y'all the story. I have a friend, I'll call him Ian, because that's similar to his name, but that's not quite his name. And Ian is a giant man. He's very fit, but he's giant. He's like 7 feet tall, and he's got that very characteristic voice of tall guys, that deep thing. I can't even do it if I try. Like, he's like deeper than me at my deepest octave if I really try and hurt my voice to try. Like, it's crazy. He sounds like it's like if a tree could talk. Think that, right? And Ian and I became friends because when I moved away from the town I used to live in Missouri, Carrollton, moved back to Park Hills, my old friend, uh, well, his name's common enough. My old friend Kevin said, you're probably going to need a plug down there, right? And I was like, yeah, hell yeah. I'll set you up with Ian. And I was like, sweet. And so me and Ian became fast friends. Personalities just matched. We hung out once in the town I lived in, or a town near the town I lived in, and we just hit it off. We smoked a blunt. We had a lot of really told a lot of really cool stories. We laughed a lot. It was really fun. It was really cool. And then a few months later, it's October, and I've got a tiny little bit of money, not much, but I've got like 450 back from like a retirement program I was part of when I was working at the prison. And I'd been on an acid kick. I've been doing it pretty much as often as I could, but I hadn't done it in a few days. And Ian hits me up and he's like, "Hey, do you want to trip together sometime soon?" And I was like, "I fucking hell yeah, I do." And so we, me and me and him ended up going down to the place where he lived, and we dropped acid, and it was some of the strongest acid I'd had up to that point. Not the strongest, but it was nice. It was very pleasant, and Ian had every every conceivable piece of weed paraphernalia you could fucking imagine. It was fucking insane to see. It was genuinely, legitimately insane. He had this weird fucking thing that I've never seen anybody else have. It was like a little iron, probably wasn't iron, probably steel or something, little piece that fit into this giant big tower bong, and it was for doing wax hits. You would get a little bit in a dab holder, you know, and then you would fucking heat that up with the torch, get that nice and hot, and then you'd inhale, and it was like a little bowl that would like burn it off. It was like a vaporizer bowl. I don't know how to put it. And it's like a banger, but it wasn't a glass banger. It was like just a metal. It looked very medieval. And he had traditional bangers. He had little bubblers. He had the makings of two blunts, and we fucking tripped the fuck out that night. And it was really fucking fun. I'm so sorry, my phone froze. Oh, you're fine. You're good. But anyway, so we have a great time, but we stay up all night. At some point, Chloe, his partner, she goes to bed, and Ian and me decide we're just gonna fucking stay up because we're not likely to get much sleep. And I end up staying up longer than he does, but we both end up staying up till like 6 in the morning, basically. Um, his girlfriend ended up getting up and going to work, and we were still sitting in there fucking tripping out, the last little edges of the trip. And eventually, he goes to fucking bed. I go to fucking bed. But of course, at some point, he's got to drive me back because he was my ride down there. And he didn't have to work that day, but he didn't get much sleep, and he didn't, um, obviously he didn't get any sleep the night before. And so when we ended up uh, driving back home, he was, not at the most attentive state that one would probably want to be when driving down a back road. And he also had the bad habit of wanting to do dab hits in a car. The only time you should ever do dab hits in a car is if you're in the passenger seat in Missouri. You're technically allowed to, I think, if I read the law correctly. Um, Other than that, you should probably not smoke in a car, right? But if you're gonna, you definitely should not be doing anything that requires you to be heating up a fucking banger. And Ian would do that type of shit. And as he was driving back up, he was heating up a thing, and he just put the torch out and was like reaching for his fucking dabs or something. And it happened in fucking slow mo. I was, because I was not trusting his ability to follow these old back roads, because I knew he was just doing it for muscle memory, and I knew, because we were going at a pretty fucking high rate of speed, I knew at any moment a fucking deer could run out in front of something, like anything could happen. I'm very paranoid when I'm in a vehicle, and I fucking look up and I see, getting closer towards us every nanosecond, a light that is bobbing in a way that I know it's a human being. And I say, Ian, look out. And to his credit, he didn't fucking spin out. He 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 did the intelligent thing, which is to give it at the speed he was going and the type of road he was on. The best thing to do with that was to give it a very slight sort of like, because at that speed you will move very quickly to the direction you're trying to go. You don't want to overcorrect. He didn't overcorrect. He didn't fishtail getting us back on track, and he didn't hit a person. But we did get so close to them that I could tell that it was a woman that looked like she was in her mid-20s wearing a fucking like leather jacket or something. We didn't hit her. I could kind of see her like in the back of because I turned around and fucking looked through the back glass to see what happened to make fucking absolutely sure we didn't hit her. And I could kind of tell that she was like thrown off balance because she felt probably the full force of the wind of our car, and she kind of like got off balance a little bit, but I didn't see like the light stop moving, and she was fucking clearly like fine, but if I hadn't like said something right at that moment, because he was not looking at the fucking road, Ian was fucking occupied with other things. If I had not looked up at that moment, I am 100% sure we would have killed that chick. And that shit lives in my head every day. I can't, and I've never ridden with him since because I can't abide that shit. I could never live with that on my conscience. I'm so sorry, my phone. Oh, I already read that. I miss the cat, but I don't miss that fucking crazy ass driving style of his. I don't know. I just can't deal with that level of fucking craziness when it comes to driving. You know, sometimes I think about it though, and it's like I I I should get some kind of job doing professional driving because like I've probably spent more time driving in my 26 years than a lot of people that at least that I've met did in their fucking whole lives. Because I've known so many people that were in their 30s, 40s, 50s that never went out of state, that never fucking, or maybe went out of state one time or something, had like a cumulative, like, if you counted them all up, they maybe had like a cumulative, like, 10,000 miles. Well, that's probably a little low. They probably had like a cumulative, like, I don't know, 100,000 miles over the course of their whole life. Because they just didn't go many places. And I've probably, well, I know for a fact because I scrapped that van at 315,000 miles and I got it when it had like 125,000 miles. So I put about 190,000 miles on my van. That's more than a lot of vehicles even make it to. And that was just like 2 or 3 years worth of driving for me. And I've always been the type of motherfucker to just I love driving. I don't know. I love it. I get into a mode when I'm driving. I get into a fucking mode. I honestly, it's hard to put it. It's weird. I don't know how to put it. It like puts me into a mode where I can just kind of like exist, and I'll go like 20 minutes without hitting my vape. I'll go hours without smoking or doing anything. You know what I mean? Like fucking like anything fun, like, won't eat, won't fucking, you know what I mean? I just get into this like very zen mode where I'm just like, all right, scanning the road, scanning the road, scanning the instrument, scanning the road, scanning the road, scanning the back mirror, scanning the road, scanning the instrument, scan the road, scan the road, road, back of the road, instruments, road. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know. Fish in water, I guess. Yeah, it adds up quick. I probably put on 5 to 6 thousand on mine just dashing part time for a year. Yeah, I mean, and or 5 to 6. I'm so fucking blind. Yeah, 5 or 6 thousand. Honestly, like that's the crazy thing to me. Is like to me that's not even that many miles though. But like you said, it adds up quick. If you dash the whole year, that's 10,000 miles. Now imagine if you dashed the whole year, but dashed twice as much, or dashed in an area where you got twice as much. You could easily triple that up or something, and suddenly putting 50,000 miles a year on your vehicle. And then at that point, you can say like, yeah. I mean, at this point, I would agree with you. You're probably a pretty seasoned driver. The way you described yourself sounds like a seasoned driver would describe themselves. So I bet we have similar driving styles. I don't know. I drive like a grandma. Are you more like, do you got a lead foot or you drive like a grandma? Because there's no in between. Not even really part timing, TBH. I was bad about self motivating to actually go out. Yeah, I mean, like, if you'd been doing it like full time in a super busy area, you easily could have racked up 40,000 miles on that vehicle. Yeah, definitely. It's true. It's fucking mileage adds up. It adds up and it has consequences that you don't really think about in the moment. I abused the fuck out of that van to the point where its head gasket finally blew. But, you know, I took that van more places than the average human being ever goes in their lives. Like, I don't know, I don't think it makes me special, but I am glad that I am one of the few people in America that's been to a majority of her states. Feels good. It does. I used to drive a lot faster, but I mellowed out, mostly do 5 over the limit. Okay, yeah, we would probably drive pretty similar then. I tend to be right at the limit. If I'm in a vehicle with cruise control, I'll just see the first fucking speed limit sign and set it at whatever it is. So I pretty much hover at the speed limit, and that's not me like trying to brag about myself. I just, like, most people think I drive slow because I do that, and I'm fine, but maybe I do drive slow. Definitely not afraid to drive slow. I think I swallowed some air. That's not a good feeling. That's what you get for letting your mouth get so dry. Being in a small state and especially driving mostly town and city, the speed limit changes too often for that. Oh my god, yeah, dude. If you're driving, like, sorry, thought I had a burp coming up. If you're driving like back and forth through a big city all the time, or in between neighborhoods or something like that where the speed limit's changing like all the time, yeah, it's not a good idea. But I live like 10 miles out from a city, so I set the speed limit for, the highway speed. Then when I get into town, which is pretty much the end of the drive for me, that's when I turn cruise off and navigate on foot. Or not on foot, but navigate by foot. But yeah, I used to drive faster too, especially when I first started driving because I had I had a whole row of vehicles that were just kind of like fast and a little tiny bit sporty. Not super sporty, but like, you know, sporty as vans go. Dogs are chasing off a fucking raccoon or something. That's why you got dogs. Best security system I have on a little farm like this. That and guineas. But it's actually been really hard to find a pair of guineas. You would not think it would be that hard to find something people are always espousing the benefits of. We had them when I was kids, or when I was kids. Like I was multiple children. When I was a kid, we had guineas. And now you can't find them? What's the deal? I'm gonna go to bed, y'all. Have a lovely night, you too. Yeah, no, I mean, like, it says there's 4 people in here, so it's like, there's more than just us. But yeah, that's cool. Later, Al. You have a good night. And, it was chill talking to you. I'm gonna get off here pretty soon. Not right this second. I'm gonna finish this, fucking gas station smoke. But I would say this is the chattiest stream I've had so far, and that's really fucking neat because uh, normally it's just me and like maybe one or two other people, but this time it was like me and one or two other people, and like a rotating cast of like 10 other people that popped out and popped back in. So it's actually really fucking cool. I'm gonna say this is one of the better streams I've had. It's definitely one of the longer ones I've had. But y'all have done a really good job of keeping up the conversation and making it interesting and giving me things to rant about and talk about. Nice. Yeah. Ah, man. I kind of want to play a song to like play us out, you know? If somebody could somebody please find the lyrics to Closing Time by Semisonic and give me the first verse. It would be swell if someone could do that. The algorithm threw your stream my way, probably due to Highdeology in the stream title or something. Thanks for the stories. Hey, that's super cool. What a fucking cool fucking person. Yeah, I mean, uh, Paul was doing a stream earlier, and I was in the chat heavily on that one, and I don't know, I felt like talking tonight. What can I say? And so when he ended his stream, I've asked him about it before, and he's always said like, fucking whatever, unofficial after party streams are fine. You know what I mean? Or at least I asked him about it a couple years ago. I'm assuming it's probably still fine. I actually never got to do it until recently. I've never had a phone that was capable of fucking live streaming, so what can you say? But now I do. The screen protector's cracked, which means the fucking lens flare. I look like I'm in a Michael Bay movie constantly, but whatever. I think I kind of like it. What can I say? I kind of like it. YouTube fucked up formatting, lol. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Fuck yeah. Oh my god, Johnny is a fucking... Johnny is a fucking amazing person. A genius, a gentleman, and a scholar. Truly. Okay. So I'm going to play this song, and I'm probably going to answer a couple more questions and bid y'all good night. But it's never complete without a little closing time. And if you wouldn't mind, Johnny, also bring up the second verse. If you wouldn't mind. Closing time, open all the doors and let you out into the world. Closing time, turn all of the lights on. Every boy and every Fuck yeah. I kind of fucked up the last verse, but whatever. Whatever, man. It was chill. Thank you, Johnny, for helping. That was really fucking tremendous of you. This is why you're a mod. This is... Honestly, I don't deserve the claps. He does. No problem. You're so humble. I love that. I will confess, I am an open appreciator of people. I think there's not enough love in this world. Not enough just fucking saccharine, sugary ass love in this fucking world. And I'm always trying to spread more. I'm like, if you're baseline nice, I will butter your ass like a biscuit. Fucking A. Yeah. Nice, nice. Hey, I tried. That was genuinely like, here's the backstory behind that, and then I'll go. I busked for a living the entire time I lived on the road. It was how I made my money. Now, when I'm busking, I can be way louder, and I can actually hit those notes without sounding so warbly, but I'm trying not to wake up my parents or my fucking partner or anybody else that might be nearby. Very tight-knit family we got going over here, and while I am in an outbuilding, I don't know that the sound wouldn't carry, so just trying to be considerate and not, because if I do 100% full voice fucking hitting those notes, I'm gonna be like, singing at like fucking like 65 decibels or some shit. I don't know decibels, but you know what I mean. I'm gonna be pretty fucking ass loud, so I had to temper myself. But I used to play that song at the end of every set I would do while I was busking, especially if I had a little crowd that had gathered, because that's just a fucking classic. Everybody knows it. And in my experience, even people who will say that they hate it fucking love it when it happens, and love it when it's like used as like an outro. I don't know. It's corny, but I love it. You should check out Ted Lasso if you haven't. I haven't. Ted Lasso. Noted. Fair. I get that late night itch to play music too. You ever busk outside of bars? I used to. So I used to, way fucking more. I haven't in a long time because for a couple years there, busking was my only way that I made a living. And so it kind of became a little, I don't know how to put it. I'm just now getting the urge to where I want to go back out there and maybe try finding some venues I could play outside of and just playing for pleasure and maybe a couple of tips here and there. But for a while there, it was very hard for me to want to do that because I kind of associated it with this base survival instinct kind of feeling. So I haven't in a long time, but in a long time being a year, so not that long, but I haven't in about a year and a half actually, because when I was busking before, I wasn't busking in front of bars for quite a while. Probably haven't busked in front of a bar in over 2 years. But yeah, I used to. That used to be my preferred way to busk, is find a little bar somewhere, find a little brewery or pub, somewhere that's got good vibes and a lot of people, preferably a little crowd somewhere on the outside that you can kind of set up adjacent to. And man, people fucking eat that shit up. I've made amazing money outside of bars and met some pretty fucking cool people. I also got robbed playing for that same sort of crowd, but it wasn't by that crowd. It was by just some random teenagers that was running through downtown. What can you do? It was the first time something like that ever happened to me, so it didn't even occur to me to like stop them. It was like, I don't know, I froze. I don't know how else to put it, but that one bad experience aside, all my other experiences, excuse me, by the way, playing in front of bars have been really fun. And I miss doing it. Now I want to play all more songs. What time is it? 1:05 fucking in the morning. Oh my god, whatever. I've already stayed up late. Do y'all want to hear more songs, or am I just being a fucking loud bitch at this point. LOL, dang, yeah, that sucks. Shitty kids. But the rest still sounds like real fun. Oh, yeah, it 100% was. It 100% was real fun. It was, like, enjoyable, and, like I said, the people you meet are really fucking cool. The people that tip you are really cool. The people that listen, every so often, like, when I was busking in Delmar Boulevard, on Delmar Boulevard in it's actually in University City, I would sometimes gather a crowd, and that to me was the most fucking cool thing ever. That sort of organic, like, we're just gonna sit near this person and listen to them play is just like, fuck yeah, dude. That's you know, that's people voting with their presence right there. I don't know what to tell you. Well, I don't want to keep you up. I'm chilling playing Total War. You're staying up though. What's the usual set list you do? Oh man, well that's one of the great things is like as a person who knows a shit ton of covers, I vary it up. So I know like 4 songs off of In the Airplane Over the Sea from Neutral Milk Hotel. I know most of the album Wincing the Night Away by the Shins. I think is it Wincing the Night Away? Yeah, I think it is. I know most of that album. I know a lot of City and Color. I know a lot of weird old fucking type of shit. So let's see some of those that I do. Like the ones like some of the ones I do with my friends would be like Country Roads, um, Amarillo by Morning by George Strait, Gypsy by Fleetwood Mac, Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. I also know Girls Just Want to Have Fun by Cindy Lauper, because that was amazing. I know San Antonio Stroll by Tanya Tucker. And, like, I don't know, I know more songs than I'm able to immediately remember, if that makes sense. So, my set list varies a lot, but there are a few common ones in there. Do I know Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba? Not only do I know Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba, I have shared a stage with Chumbawamba. Not really, but I've played at a venue that they've played at. Nice, those are some good ones. You got some Hey Joe by Jimmy? I don't. You got me on that one. I knew somebody would hit me with one I wouldn't know in that, in my braggadociousness. LOL dope. So here's the story, right? It's a weird fucking anarchist collective in Denver, Colorado, whose name escapes me, but I could look it up on my timeline. And Chumbawamba has actually played there because they're a fucking anarchist folk punk band. Might seem like they're fucking something else, but that's what they are. And they played there sometime in the early 2000s, and actually it wasn't even that long ago. I don't remember what it was. It was sometime within the last 20 years they played there, and then me and my, actually, it was going to be me and my friend Adam, but then my friend Adam was like, no, just let Phoebe do it. I don't really feel like getting up on stage. And I ended up doing 2 songs, and then they encored me. That was so fucking cool. Especially because I was playing a memorial show, and that allowed me to play all 3 songs that reminded me of the person that had passed. So that was really cool. But yeah, Tub Thumping is a great song, and Chumbawamba is a great band. And if you really want me to play it, I'll play it. You got a good voice for it. I think you do a good Hey Joe. I'll look it up. Because you said that, I'll look it up. I always think that, if somebody can recognize something in my voice that I haven't seen yet, I'm always happy to try that new angle. I mean, I was just memeing a bit. LOL. Oh, well. Taste a whiskey drink, taste a lager drink, taste a vodka drink, taste a champagne drink, taste a drink that reminds him of the good times, taste a drink that reminds him of the better times. I get knocked down, and and I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, and I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, and I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, and I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I don't know if I got the chords right there at all, but I tried. I really did. I probably got some of the lyrics wrong too. Whatever. Oh, you're doing it? I was hardcore addicted to that song in my teens though. Dude, I'm glad I'm not the only person that had weird like addictions to certain songs when I was a teenager. I swear to God, when I was there was like 2 years in my teenage life, like 17 to 18, almost into 19, where I was obsessed with the song New Slang by the Shins, and now I can hardly stand it. Close enough for an impromptu performance. Hey, well, that's one of the fucking areas where I used to impress as a busker. Is I'm good at two things: taking an existing melody and making up funny new lyrics to it, and two, um, remembering what a song sounds like and getting well, ever so basically close to what it sounds like. Like I know that it's got something like that chord structure. I don't know if that's the 100% it. It's probably, off in both pitch and pace, but it's close enough to where it passes for an impromptu performance. So, being able to do that, it I don't know, it it makes people smile. That's why I like to do it. You play any Bowie? Bowie. Oh, do I play any Bowie? Do I? I was learning a Bowie song there for a while. I think I can do it. I will be king, and you'll be queen. Nothing is all it seems. I know I'm getting that wrong, and I know I'm not even getting it close to right, which is gonna bother me if I continue playing it as if I know it well enough to do it. But I like that song. I think it's called Heroes. Yes. Hey, no problem. I'm always loved it. Nothing does my heart good satisfying request. And nothing is how it seems. We can be heroes just for one day. That's such a good song. Oh my god. Oh man. Yeah, see, like I've never been burdened with that. I guess it's because like I'm so expressive through music that I, I don't know, and it's also like a thing I developed because it got such positive reactions. It was a skill I worked on, being able to play something without actually knowing it and get as close as I can, and usually I do better than that. There's some songs I've just been able to teach myself because the lyrics are kind of obvious if you listen to the song. Like, for example, everybody knows this one because if you listen to the song, you can hear the fucking strings that are being played. I never had to look up a tab for Hurt because it's just kind of obvious if you look up the song. Yeah, Good Times. I mean, yeah, that's what I love that song, but it's just so fucking rapidly depressing that I don't know. Like I should play it more because I play a lot of depressing ass music anyway, but it's just like I don't know. I'm classical bass first. Teacher always teacher always told me you could hit 70% of the balls in baseball and be a millionaire. If you're a musician and hit 70% of the notes, you're unemployed. I don't know that they're true though. I don't know that that's true though. What I would say is if you you know, if you hit 70% of the hits in baseball, you're a millionaire. But if you hit 70% of the notes in music, you're a jazz musician. And you could be a millionaire. It just depends on, you know, other factors. Yeah, it's not true, but in orchestral music it is. That's why I play jazz. Yeah, I mean, like exactly. Like, listen, I'm not a folk. I'm a folk musician, and me and you are in the same fucking bucket, my friend. Folk musicians and jazz musicians have always walked happily hand in hand together, passing the joint back and forth from each other. And we've always lived a peaceful coexistence because we are the same being playing two kinds of different music. And, you know, we borrow heavily from each other. And, yeah. Yeah, it's really just know your key and progression. There's so much freedom in there. Yeah, exactly. And with folk music, it's largely the same way. And I kind of, honestly, that's what it is. I treat every song I'm covering like a folk song. And so that gives me this, what feels like a tremendous freedom to play however I want, to use whatever notes I want, and any arrangement I want, you know, like as long as it sounds good, as long as it's within the same key, as long as it makes baseline sense. That's why I stopped playing that song earlier because I realized because I'm not I don't know what's the word I don't have any training in music theory. I'm a self-taught guitarist and I don't have any training in music theory, so I know I know when I hear them what notes sound good together, but I don't necessarily know what those translate to in terms of a given position on the fretboard immediately. So I might think, maybe is F the sound I'm hearing in my head? And I'll play an F, and that's what I did earlier, and it didn't work at all. And really, what I think I should have played is like a G, or maybe you know, a B minor. I don't know, but I shouldn't have played an F because it fucked the whole song in my head. Um, just the way it is. I'm very sensitive to hearing that sort of thing, even if I don't have enough training in it to actually know off the top of my head, like, okay, in order for this to sound good, you're in the key of A, and so the next chord you should play in this progression should be whatever, you know, like I'm just not trained enough to know that shit. I wish I was. I wish I could find a music teacher who would take my fucking dumb ass on and teach me all that shit, because Lord knows I need it. I feel like I could be a way better musician if I understood that shit. You can still feel a key. Eventually, you find your way into a training or not. That's what I kind of have found. Like, that's kind of what I mean. It's like sometimes I'll get it right. Sometimes, because sometimes like it's more obvious with some songs what's gonna. And there's some keys like the key of C. I think is like C, F, G, right, and like so like there's some other ones in there I think, but like you know I don't know. Fucking, I'm not making any sense, and I admit that. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But I know what sounds good. I know what doesn't sound good. So I know, like, I know that works. It sounds pleasant to the ear. I know that, you know, doesn't sound as pleasant to the ear. You'd learn quick. You seem to have a pretty good understanding technicals. I think you meant to say is like pretty good time understanding technicals. Yeah, no, I think I get what you're trying to say. And yeah, like I'm a quick learner. That's that's one of the great things about me. Like there's few of them, but that's one of them. I'm a quick learner. I could pick it up in no time flat. It's like I've not had a whole lot of success trying to teach myself it through Wikipedia and shit. I feel like I need someone to sit down with me like I'm a fucking 5-year-old that's learning to play piano for the first time and teach me all this shit and have me listen to it, because I would come out of it. I think number one, I'd come out of it having perfect pitch because I have really good relative pitch. And if I knew for 100% fact what notes to associate a given pitch with, I would I would be so much better off for a number of reasons. But I think it would give me even more control of my pitch. And you know, so I feel like I need that very desperately. So that's definitely something I'm going to be looking into, because I don't know. I want to do music creatively more. I miss doing it at this point. And I really fucking enjoy doing it. Let's see, are there any other big classics I know? Uh, oh man, have any Eva Destruction fans in here? Yeah, I feel that. Got a keyboard for that reason. Yeah. Yeah, so dude, like that's the weirdest thing. It's like I used to have a keyboard, and for me it wasn't helpful to learn um music theory, but I just didn't pick up on it. And then I ended up getting a guitar for my birthday later on that year, and I picked up on that like fucking that. I don't know what the difference was. Seeing music in a more linear pattern helps a bit, I think. Yeah, I mean, that's why tabs were super helpful for me. Like when I was still learning guitar, I used to be super heavily reliant on tabs because it made sense. I could picture how my fingers should be on a keyboard or on a fretboard, and it would, help a whole lot. So definitely seeing it in a linear fashion helps for sure. I don't know if it helps everybody, but it helped me a shit ton. I want to get into different instruments. Dude, I had a friend that used to be able to play anything you said in front of him. I miss that kid. He's not a kid anymore. He's fucking my age. What am I saying? Neither of us are kids anymore. But I miss that dude a lot. He was fucking. I was intensely jealous of that fuck, because anything you said in front of him, he could fucking play it. Even if he didn't know how to play it, all you had to do was explain the trick of it to him or whatever, like whatever way it works, and he just, I don't know, it's a weird thing. He couldn't sing hardly at all, like, but he had fucking perfect pitch, 100% perfect pitch, and so he could play basically any instrument just as soon as he figured out, like, what notes were what notes and shit, and even shit that didn't even use conventional, like that's kind of defies conventional music theory, like synths. He fucking fucked around on those one time when we were in a guitar center and made some like fucking nightmare fuel noises fucking happen that were like not not just like banging on the fucking keyboard. There's like engineered nightmare fuel type shit, and then it was like beautiful lo-fi type shit, and then it was like beating heartbeat type shit. It was just fucking crazy. Kid could play anything. He could play the drums too. The drums and any fucking other rhythm thing you set in front of him. And his main thing, his favorite thing of all those fucking instruments, you want to know what it was? You want to fucking know what it was? It wasn't fucking theremin, which you could play. So it wasn't fucking drums, which you could play like a fucking badass. It wasn't fucking piano, which you could play anything on. It was fucking bass. Kid was a bassist. That was his main instrument. That's what he preferred. I just think that's fucking so cool, because the bass is like one of the most underrated instruments out there, And that was the thing he was most interested in. Yep, smart man. I miss Colin, dude. I fucking miss that dude. Mm. Such a fucking skilled musician. I will never meet his like again. Feel like melodic instruments will click with me, but I haven't found it yet. Yeah, I mean, you never know until you try them all, right? You'll eventually find one that'll stick with you. Yeah, some people just have playing music on spot. That stuff is so impressive to me. It always was to me too, dude. Anytime, like, I loved going into a Guitar Center with him just to watch him fuck around on shit that he'd never touched before and make it sound pretty. It was just like it, like, I don't know, dude. I don't know, dude. I don't even know how to put it. It was the most impressive fucking skill I've ever known in a human being. I asked the bass player, collector of the sloppy fourths. Well, that's the thing. Is like most bassists are not Colin. I feel like, and they usually like. I feel like usually there's kind of a reason why the bassist is not looked upon super favorably, and it's usually because they're like, you know, not they're not doing a whole lot typically. Now some are, some, and the ones who are usually get more fucking note. But a lot of bassists are just there to provide a little bit of fucking backing bass and really aren't adding a whole lot of extravagance to the fucking music. And so they kind of get, they're not in the forefront. But if you're fucking good enough at bass, like fucking Colin was, you can go past that, and then people want to fucking hang out with you because you're cool as fuck. And then you get to show them that you can play every other goddamn thing at your house. Also, there's a train coming, so I've got to mute this train. Whatever this load is, it's heavy as fuck. I'm sorry, y'all. You can tell when they're heavy because of this, y'all can't feel it, but it's vibrating right here. And that sound is just the sound of like millions of pounds of pressure pushing down on rails. True, RHCP would be pretty run-of-the-mill if not for Flea. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Colin is a bassist like Flea. Honestly. And that's not even exaggerating. He's like that kind of fucking... But that's what you have to be a transcendental bassist, I feel like. Are you like right next to the station? Basically. No, it's a freight railroad. Are you in the train? I'm not in the train. It's just very close. Nah. Nah, dude. I live right next to a Class A freight railroad. So, literally right next to it. Like, fucking... If you turn left from my driveway, the first thing you cross is a fucking railroad crossing. And with that little spurt of fucking brake gas, or compressor air, or whatever the fuck that was, I don't fucking know. With that, it leaves. Yeah. So right next to it, and I have a baby on the way, so I have no idea how the fuck I'm going to soundproof the rooms that he's going to be in to the point where that's not going to bother him. Because that's fucking so loud. I've got a line that runs past about a half mile away, far enough to be soothing at night instead of annoying. Yeah, dude, like, honestly, it's okay in the house. It's not super annoying. but sometimes they're just louder than others. Like, there are some train horns they're making now that are meant to be loud if you're outside and in the path of the horn, and not really that loud if you're not in that exact scenario. And then there are the old train horns that just kind of project a giant cone of fucking noise in front of them, at a discordant C note or something. And those are most of the horns around here. And some of them are louder than others. And the really loud ones, sometimes I'll just be laying in bed trying to get to sleep, and it's like, and it's just like, God fucking damn, it's so close. And now all I can think about is how much I want to fucking, oh my God, nationalize the railroads. Listen, you know what should happen? They have these things, they're called sound walls or highway walls. I don't actually remember what they're called, but they have these fucking things that are specifically meant to capture and channel sound. They're meant to allow the passage of sound within the bounds of the walls to prevent its escape out of the walls. So you know what you do? You build a fucking wall that's tall enough to fucking, you know what I mean? Like, you figure out however you need to position it, fill up these embankments if you have to. You build a fucking sound wall along areas that are going to be close to residential areas, right? And then end it a certain distance away from the road, maybe 10 feet or something. And then you fucking install an extra gate. And that way, not only is the sound still going to hit them because it's going to be coming through the openness of the wall, but you've got an extra gate there just to make sure. I think they should have that anyway. I think there should be twin gates at every fucking, like, people will just drive around a gate, and in my opinion, the gates should come all the way down. And, like, if they come down an error, they each one of them has a fucking sign on there that you call, and they can fucking emergency override if there's not actually a train coming. So, National Railroad has been needed for way too long. Fuck BNSF, Union Pacific, and the other two I forgot the names of. You're looking for Norfolk Southern and CSX. As the richest country in the world, we should have sound gates wherever people live and trains probably. They don't gotta deal with this shit in the rich neighborhoods close to rail. Nope, they 100% don't. That's the fucking thing. That's the fucking class divide, dude. They don't build a railroad anywhere near a rich neighborhood, and they don't build a rich neighborhood anywhere near a railroad. And if there is going to be a railroad somewhere nearby, they build sound walls. Somehow they can figure out the money and the solution when it comes to protecting the soundscape of a bunch of rich fucks in the nice part of the city. But when it comes to rural people, when it comes to people living in the communities of marginalized people, no sound protection for them. There's a fucking train that runs through the city near here, and a big part of where it runs through is right next to a residential area, about a half mile from where a bunch of houses and apartments are and shit. Put a sound wall up. Put a sound wall with sliding gates that can be overridden by city cops or whatever, so that if they come out in error and you confirm with the railroad that there's no traffic coming, you can fucking open them up and somebody can man them manually until a train comes. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, what's the problem with that? There is no problem except the funding for it, because there's never enough funding for rural communities. There's never enough funding for marginalized communities. There's always enough funding for tax cuts. There's always enough funding for superficial landscaping projects in areas where business wants to happen. Never enough money for those other things, though. Segregation by class, so real. Yes, 100%. The reason why they don't do it is because it's too expensive. Right, but it's not too expensive for them to put up a new McDonald's and have the city pay or really charge the taxpayers $100,000 to replace all the sidewalks for a half mile leading up to it. You know what I mean? which some would say, oh, that's actually a good thing. And I would say, yeah, it's great that they have sidewalks. It's shitty that they couldn't get sidewalks until McDonald's came around. Um, it's like, dude, there's a multi-millionaires and billionaires in every state. Yep, 100%. Like we like to think of rich people as being like congregated in one specific area, but they're everywhere. There are definitely some places I think they congregate more than others, but they're in every state. And yeah, like you said, class segregation. That's really what it is. And because of the last few hundred years of history, some groups are just naturally kind of more predisposed towards a certain position on that class structure. And so what you have happening is like basically a system where segregation has been allowed to continue because it's looked at as a different thing, and it's it's become somehow even more banal because now it's so far reaching. um I don't quite know how to put it. It's just like that sort of class segregation ekes into every single aspect of our lives. It's like it's hard for me to put the example to play in my head for the little town near me because in that little town there's really no rich people section. There's kind of like an old town section that's a little more ritzy, but not really. And there's really no like suburb or anything that's got the super nice houses. There's a couple of spots that have a conglomeration of houses that are probably pretty fucking expensive. Um, but if I think about other cities I've lived in, like Farmington, Missouri, Farmington, Missouri has this very distinct class divide where if you go into the neighborhoods near the hospital and near the medical infrastructure, you're going into super expensive apartments and super expensive townhomes. And then if you get towards downtown, you're looking at these old ass fucking plantation houses and shit. These old ass fucking like colonial style houses, old ass farmhouses, just these massive fucking ancient, beautiful houses that have been there for 150 years. And it's just one of those areas that screams rich people live here. But then if you go a mile or two down that road and you turn off onto Webster Street, I think it is, then you get into this like normal fucking neighborhood where there's potholes and people's fucking garbage is sitting out, and the cars, some of them don't have license plates, and fucking there's like a fucking apartment that you can tell is falling apart, but people are still living there somehow. That type of shit. And it's like so starkly divided. This one area is like so cordoned off, and the houses on the outside are made to look really nice. Like the city makes sure that the people that live there keep them looking nice. But then you get just a little past that, and suddenly you're in the fucking trenches. Yeah, we've got a few rich towns here, and they don't tip worth shit after I drive out to the boonies and walk the burrito up their 50-yard driveway. I hated fucking door dashing for rich fucks, dude. A poor person will fucking tip you very little in the app, and then you'll get there and they give you like $10 in quarters or whatever. And it's like, all right, you know what? I'll take it. A rich fuck will tip you like similarly low in the app, but then we'll just be like, thank you, when you fucking haul their fucking bag of McDonald's over a ditch that has basically become a stream because of the recent rains and a big swampy front yard, and you fucking traipsed past their dog that's on a lead that's just barely far enough away from you to not get bit, and they don't even greet you at the door. They're like, set it on the porch, please. Ugh. Horrible. Yeah, a lot of modern day segregation is just zoning. Like, hell yeah, it is, dude. I fucking trip about this shit so much because it's fucked up as fuck, dude. America's zoning bullshit is so fucked up because they will say an entire area, this has just got to be houses. It's just got to, and I don't even know if this is the type of zoning you're talking about, but here's my fucking issue with zoning, right? This whole fucking area is just going to be houses. You can't do anything else with this area. And if you want to build a church, they'll usually, zone you out a little bit of land so you can have a church. And if you want to have, but getting any sort of permit to build anything there, no matter how fucking convenient it would be for the people that live there, is a fucking nightmare. And the towns that I don't see this in are so fucking much better to live in. Like I lived in North Adams, Massachusetts for a while, and it's just like, like there was a convenience store within like a mile's walk of anywhere in town, which is so fucking cool. That's a good thing. And so many towns I've lived in weren't like that. It's like you've got these big sections that are just dedicated to housing and housing alone. You can't have anything commercial there, no matter what it is. And really, it would be really cool if you could have, say a couple of houses that get gutted and turned into like a micro dispensary if you're in Missouri, or a barber shop, or a little fucking like a little health food store, something like that. Like that would fucking, and not only that, but that would allow more people to enter the, like that would allow people to progress forward in higher numbers. Because progressing forward in capitalism is starting your own business. You know what I mean? It would allow more people to do that because people could take their grandma's old house that they don't know what to do with, and they could start their own business. Yep, they make it so expensive to build anything. Not all permitting is bullshit, but a lot of the fees in it are. Shit can be way streamlined. That and the type of house. Yeah, dude, I agree that no permitting is bullshit, but my fucking position on permitting and really any sort of government program that is asking you to do something to ensure the safety of yourself, others, etc. Like, isn't the government's whole fucking purpose to collect taxes to put towards the good of the public? Isn't that what the government's for? If that's what the government's for, then why can't the government have a fucking program? Let's just take inspections as fucking. Let's just take inspections and permitting as an example. Let's say, number one, permits shouldn't cost you anything to apply for. There should be fucking, the only requirement should be like, are you presenting a legible plan that makes sense and is safe? Yes, okay, then permit granted. No fees fucking exchanged. There should be no fucking monetary. There should be no stupid, arbitrary monetary fucking transaction merely to have permission to build a deck or something. That's retarded. If you have to pay for that, that's what taxes are for. Start leveraging taxes from these giant corporations, and you'll have plenty of fucking money to pay for the fucking back end of your fucking inspection and application process. Wish more cities had strong steel-built multifamily housing, sixplexes with 3 bedrooms apiece instead of just 1 or 2 single-family homes. Yeah, that's such a fucking inefficient way to use space, isn't it? Like, it's, I understand why the urge is there, and it can be, it's nice to live in a place like that, but it can't be done everywhere. And when it comes to these big cities, we really need to think about, like you said, like, what did you call them? Sixplexes? Sixplexes, like, yeah, we really need to think about like sextuplexes and octuplexes, places where multiple fucking families are all dwelling in one big housing unit kind of thing. Well, not housing unit because that's a prison term, but one big apartment building or multiplayer where you've got room for the fucking cars and all that other shit, and you've got a little yard and a fucking garden and park and all this other shit, and you've got a bunch of fucking little housing complexes like that. That's how housing should be done in cities, in my opinion. I don't think the suburbs should really be a thing unless you're talking about having some areas like I guess the suburbs can be a thing, but the desire to grow them is destroying the fucking planet. The desire, everybody's desire to have that for themselves is destroying the planet. Everybody's unwillingness to go even further rural than the suburbs and do that where it'll be way lower impact and have their own little single family dwelling. People's unwillingness to do that, it's killing the planet. The sprawl, the urban sprawl, the fucking, it's unsustainable. I really think this culture would benefit from doing what you said and transitioning towards multiplexes and things like that that hold more families, that take better advantage of this space, and just learn to be fucking communities again, learn to be neighbors again. That used to work. People used to live together in apartment complexes and know each other. Imagine that. Imagine that, man. Make bodegas legal everywhere. Holy shit, I missed a bunch of comments. Yeah, one thing I missed from the ghetto ass neighborhood I used to live in was that I had this bodega that cooked food to order right on the same street as my house. Closest I've got here is a 7-Eleven. Dude, those bodegas are the fucking bee's knees. They're the fucking, they're the blessing of the late night acid trip, really. They're amazing, right? Like, that sort of shit being available in your neighborhood can make the difference for some people between whether you've got affordable food sometimes and whether you don't. Because, like, there's a lot of those places where you can get a fucking bite to eat for pretty fucking cheap. And, you know, that type of shit is important and it needs to exist in more places. Make bodegas legal everywhere. I agree. Or at least one or two every neighborhood. Middle housing is what it's called. Wait, what is it called? Middle housing? Oh, okay. What we're talking about with like 6 like multiplexes that aren't quite apartment buildings. Middle housing. I'm biased too. I live in Seattle and don't drive. Grew up with a bunch of siblings and realized early if people are to live densely, not everyone can have a car. Everyone can drive, but not have a car. Yeah, America could be so much cooler and diverse in place. Hell yeah. No, it really could be. That's the fucking thing. It's like America is this beautiful, diverse melting pot of people, and I'm not afraid to use that term. I don't give a shit what connotations people say it has. The connotations I think of it as is like all of the flavors get to shine together. You feel the heat of the peppercorn combined with the sweetness of the sweet bell peppers, and you feel the acidity of the tomato and the saltiness of the sea salt, and you feel the that beautiful uh, bacony taste of lard, and all of this is important in America's fucking national heritage. We're such a beautiful, diverse country, and we used to get along with each other. That's what fucking fucks me up about when people are like, because every time I have this argument, I'm not saying anybody brought it up in here, but every time I have this argument with people in real life, the idea comes out of their heads like, oh, we can't do apartment buildings because people just don't get along well enough anymore. People barely survive in the apartment buildings we already had. And talking about making ones that are even more closely cloistered together. And it's like, yeah, that's the fucking problem, right? Like, because this, like, if our culture got used to the idea of, like, which, this, and here's what fucks me up about it, right? Let me read. Oh, no, okay. Okay, so here's what fucks me up about it, right? For the vast majority of human civilization, humans have lived in conglomerations, in units, in cities. That's how human beings have lived for thousands of years. Thousands of years. Apartments and their ancestors have been our primary way of habiting in an area. You'd have like 98% of your society living in that sort of format, and then you'd have like 2%. Maybe I'm getting the percentages off a little bit. Maybe like 95% living in these conglomerations, and then maybe 5% living out in the rural areas and tending to the flocks and tending to the farms and the fields. And there's like so what I'm saying is like the suburb to me seems like a very new thing. The idea of having this area that's not quite town because it doesn't have cornfields, it doesn't have tractors, and it doesn't have pigs or horses or cows, but it does have grass and the occasional tree and houses. And it's close enough to town to get there if you want to get some KFC, but not so close that you ever really hear the sirens. That idea is new. that idea, from what I can tell, is distinctly new, and it's distinctly American. Sixplexes, rental housing. Okay, yeah. Okay, so, right, cool, understood. The country made it mostly illegal to build after the 1968 Fair Housing Act led to too much diversity, like in San Francisco. I don't really know anything about San Francisco, so I can't really talk about it in terms of like its housing situation because I just don't know much about it, honestly. But I'll take your word for it. Um, I know that I've heard like it's become kind of harder to come up with housing solutions in the wake of some of that shit. But I've also, and I kind of think this is true. I think that the fact that housing is allowed to be a thing controlled by the market, I think that it's kind of led to a crisis where we've got houses going up all the time and millions of homeless people. I'll say that again. We've got houses going up all the time, and we've still got hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of homeless people. How does that math add up? You might be wondering. Well, it's because the houses that they're building are speculative properties. The idea is to build a bunch of houses, and now you've turned that land you just bought for 50 grand and spent, $2 or $3 million improving. All of a sudden, you're looking at $50 million worth of housing that you can sell to people. And so that speculation market is driving a whole lot of fucking building. While people fucking starve, freeze to death on the street, get rained on, get pissed on, there are houses being built that may not see a person live in them for 5 fucking years just because they have to sell at the absolute best price or the market doesn't move forward. San Francisco was a fast growing city with lots of townhomes and low density. That's how it initially got diverse. But San Francisco stagnated hard, in my opinion, since going there. It's still pretty beautiful, but I can tell a lot of it is getting real old. That kind of makes sense. I mean, I've heard people kind of share a similar sentiment about San Francisco, so I'm apt to believe that. Maybe it needs some renovating. Maybe it needs kind of what I'm talking about. Like my idea for this shit is like this shit needs to be nationalized. We need to, I'm not like I'm not saying everything needs to be nationalized, but the rail system and the way housing is done needs to be nationalized or at the very least federally regulated at a super fucking close level. Like we need a fucking the Department of Housing should be a much more powerful fucking force, and it should be like market dictates should not be what's fucking making the choice as to whether people have homes or not. The fucked up thing is though, our fucking economy, a lot of people don't realize this, our economy is heavily based on real estate. Most of our economy rests on some level on the value of fucking real estate. It's like the value of real estate and the speculative value of companies. Those two things are heavily leaned on by our economy. So it's like if you nationalize the real estate market, or at least maybe that's how you fucking get around it, right? So you nationalize housing. You don't nationalize commercial property. Maybe that would be the solution. Because then, all these investors can go. And honestly, maybe it would be a boon because you know what? Maybe you could section out, like we were saying, a couple of areas, like a couple of commercial spots in each of these neighborhoods where you can put up a bodega or you can put up a gas station or you can put up something, you know what I mean? You can put up put up a little branch of whatever business it is. And that would give people another option to fucking fuck around with their money on the real estate gambling floor that isn't putting people's lives in danger. I think there needs to be an urban renewal that isn't just slapping freeways over brown neighborhoods. Fuck yeah. Like that's not a recipe for success. Like I don't like that shit is demeaning, dude. Having a highway just bypass your fucking town and go right over it, that's fucking demeaning. That's fucking insulting. And yeah, they need 100% an urban renewal. Like, I like what Boston did about that shit. Boston fucking felt pretty strongly about some of its brown neighborhoods, its black and its brown neighborhoods being treated that way, and they fucking organized, and now Boston is actually like a really beautiful city, and like a lot is being done to improve it, and they've gone through this like urban renewal, so I know it works, and people are super happy with it. So that, yeah, that's probably exactly what they need. I think housing should at least be in greater part public. More mid-sized units all around the country for people to live in if they work. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. And two, like, if you're saying if they work, as in like if they have a job, like, here's the thing. I will always say this: it is impossible to get a job unless you have a house. So if we're really going to solve the homeless, let's talk about it. If we're really going to solve the homelessness problem, and I really do have to get off here soon, but we'll talk about this. If we really want to solve the homelessness problem, one, you've got to nationalize housing, because as long as it's in the market, in the hands of the market, you're going to have to contend with rich people knowing they can rip you off because it's backed by taxpayer dollars. If you just seize the fucking problem from them entirely, then you've got the fucking position to start housing people as people become able to be housed. Second, you you start wait lists for all of these fucking houses that you've just taken over, and all these apartment complexes you've just taken over, and then you start at the fucking, all the prospective sites that have been nationalized at this point. You start building those multifamily housings, those multiplexes you're talking about, those middle housing kind of units. You start building those in some of these vacant lots, and this plan comes with a wait list, and people start joining it. You start fucking housing people that are already employed, that need a place to fucking uh, that need an apartment that isn't going to gouge them like fuck, and you charge a fucking standard rate for a given area that's basically based on the just purely what you have to do to maintain that fucking place, and to pay for whatever utilities are included in it, you know what I mean? And so you'd be charging way lower rent because you're not just trying to make fucking giant boatloads of profit on them. You're basically just collecting what it takes to keep it up and keep the utilities paid, right? And at that point, you have to, if you're going to start, because that's going to put a dent in the homelessness crisis right there. Preventing people from getting onto the street is the easiest way to keep people off the street. Prevention is the best medicine. The easiest way to keep people from getting homeless is, or the easiest way to help homeless people is to help them not become homeless in the first place. And the easiest way to do that is to nationalize housing and start, you know, working with people and seeking out people who are in these unstable housing situations that, everyone in the household works, but their fucking rent is just gouging the fuck out of them and they have almost no money left. You know what I mean? You start lifting those people out so that they don't, you know what I mean? And so you take a little bit of pressure off right there. And you also have to start a bunch of halfway houses, basically. You would have to come up with these transitional housing areas in some of these neighborhoods that are meant to teach people who haven't lived amongst traditional society in a long time how to live amongst traditional society. And, you know, those are going to have to be in the neighborhoods if people are going to learn how to live in the neighborhoods. And so once you have that established, then you know, you start convincing these people who are out on the street. I wouldn't want to force anybody to do anything, but like, you heavily fucking uh, encourage the homeless in a given area to participate in this, like, you know, return program. and like fucking it's fucking government owned and fucking operated, so fuck it, if they have pets, whatever. It's they're fucking gonna end up, paying rent when they get a job anyway. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like a self-sustaining system in my head, and it would be one that would be better than the shelter system because it would come without proselytization and would give people who are psychologically reliant on their pets or on the ability to, smoke their cigarettes or whatever, the chance to actually get out of fucking the streets, because you would not believe how many people end up staying on the streets for stupid amounts of time because they're they can't get over something, basically. They can't bear the thought of something. There's so many people who could get off the street pretty easily if a shelter would just let them in with their dog, and they could leave their dog in their room to go to a job in the daytime. There's so many, like, and they're just, it's just like people would say, oh, they shouldn't even have a dog if they're homeless. It's like, fucking, we had dogs long before we had wooden stick houses, my friends. And I'll just tell you this much: homeless people's pets are their fucking most powerful and meaningful companion. And it's all a lot of them really have that's meaningful at all. And they should be allowed to take them with them on their recovery process from the road. And if someone's an addict, the part of the process for these kind of transitional housing places should be rehabs and shit, so that people that do need to rehabilitate, maybe there's like one central one at some point that is one somewhere in the residential area, and you go there and that's where you do your treatment, and then you go to one of the other transitional houses once you're sober of whatever the you know toxic thing you're doing is, and that could that I genuinely think that would fucking pretty much take care of 98% of homeless people. You give them a place to stay where no matter what's wrong with them, they've got a place where they can exist, and they've got someone there whose job it is. They're paid by the government to fucking teach them how to be a human being, to remind them to shower every day, to make sure that they're eating 3 meals a day, to make sure that they're exercising and moving their bodies. Honestly, both if they work and they don't work. Let's see here. If there is demand for labor in a city, we should have spots for people to be there, an extra for the natural migration of people. I 100% agree with that. Like that's a great way to make sure that your labor actually, like the labor force you might need for a given economic activity is actually there. Just make sure there's enough housing there. Uh, but imagine having a work ticket where you have a job, no matter the wage, you have the option of some form of domicile period. But at the same time, I do just believe everyone deserves a place. I just think if you work, you may be able to have more flexibility, but my ideas are flawed. I wouldn't say necessarily. I kind of agree with that. Like, I kind of think like that's kind of the basis of my idea. If we're operating within this capitalist framework, I think that's a more equitable idea than what it is right now, which is like just fucking neo feudalism. You know what I mean? Where really the only way you get something nice is if you buy it yourself or pay super fucking far out the ass. Um, I think the idea, like, if you work harder, you get a little bit more money and you're able to get something better. I think that's a good idea. Now, I think when it comes to the people we would be talking about, uh, you know, rescuing from these horrible landlords, basically, and terrible housing situations that would probably become homeless without intervention. I think that shouldn't necessarily be dependent on how much you make. I don't know. Like, here's the fucking crazy thing you got to think about, right? There's gonna be mansions if this happens. There are going to be mansions that are seized by the government, what do we do with those? Like, because none of the people you would want to help, because like obviously if you nationalize housing, there's going to be a shit ton of people that just get grandfathered into whatever place they're living at right now, right? But other people, like, you know, I don't remember what I was going to say, because now that I realized, like, if you nationalize housing, you nationalize all housing, which means that even the people who are in a shitty rent situation are no longer in a shitty rent situation. So right off the back of it, if you did that, you would take so much pressure off of people. That alone would just take so much pressure off of people. And then you start renovating these houses with all this tax money and all this fucking buyout money and shit, you know? And you make housing something people can get again. And yeah, I think, like, I, I guess I get what you're saying now. Yeah, so I don't know. I like the idea that if you work harder or you do more intense labor, that you're able to get a, you know, more shit. I like that idea on a basic level. I don't know that it works if you're gonna try and really encourage a cooperative society, though. That would be my only problem with it. Damn, girl, are you still alive? Yeah, hell yeah. I'm about to go, but I ain't gone yet. Uh, yeah, that's definitely true for a lot of homeless people. The fear that it's going to be ripped from you because you can't pay a $1,300 monthly in a group or otherwise. Some people struggle with the social skills to have to room with other people. Our housing isn't designed well for individuating in a dense ass area and being poor. Yup, 100% right. Area with where what mansions used to be will be torn down and likely built on. Okay, now I see a problem. If you want to work this out with me, yeah, what's the problem? I love working this type of shit. Not on topic, but I want to thank you for clipping that part of Paul's stream talking about his friend that he lost to suicide. I have a handful of friends I met through DP 10 years ago. Oh yeah, 100%. Dude, I'm glad somebody else liked that clip. I was there for that Highdeology back in Thanksgiving of 2020. I had just lost one recently, not to suicide, but to another thing, and it was a very real expression moment in all streaming history. It was a very real moment of expression of emotion, and it really resonated with me, and I'm glad it did with you too. So yeah, Black Lark. What's the problem that you were thinking about? Because see, I don't know if you would need to tear down the mansions. Maybe the mansions become these transitional houses we're talking about. Maybe the mansions are where homeless people go when they're first getting off the street to learn how to be a human again. Rich people in their mansions will be pushed out to suburbs and rural areas, and we as a nation often worship the lifestyle of the most wealthy regardless of the cost. I believe this is in part I think you meant in part, why suburbanization happened. So let me read that again. Rich people in their mansions will be pushed out to suburbs and rural areas, and we as a nation often worship the lifestyle of the most wealthy regardless of the cost. I believe this is in part why suburbanization happened. I mean, yeah, but I don't know that I agree, because to my knowledge, urbanization, well, you did say in part. So I kind of agree. Yeah, in part, I think that's part of it. Like the fact that, because it was mostly middle class and wealthy people living in the suburbs at first, right? Now it's a whole lot of everybody, because what defines a suburb has kind of shifted a little bit. But, you know, it used to be mostly middle class and up that lived in a suburb, right? And so people kind of idealized it. We like you said, we kind of worship wealth in this country. We worship whatever we think is the top of the line, the head of the pack. We live for that shit, right? And I think that's part of what it was. I also know that GM actually had a lot to do with it. I know that the major car companies of America actually lobbied heavily for the land regulations that allowed suburbs to happen, and were heavily involved in the real estate companies that made some of the first suburbs happen, because they wanted to They basically wanted to show off this new kind of life that was possible with their cars. And they were hoping that people would actually adopt it because it would lead to more sales of their cars. Because suburbs, God, this is so fucking cruelly clever. Suburbs are designed specifically to not be easily serviced by public transportation. Some of them have been retrofitted with bus stops and shit like that, and good for them. But a lot of them are specifically designed to be fun and comfortable to access by car, cab, and not much else. And that's by design because they wanted the suburbs so that you had to buy a car, so that you had to go from the suburbs to your work and from your work to the grocery store back to the suburbs. And it led to all these weird psychological effects. It led to a lot of fucking urban sprawl that didn't need to happen, all to line the pockets of America's car companies. It gives people the impression that they're living like kings. Yep, regardless of the cost that it societally costs. This is how suburbs are literally in the middle of what should be a dense city. Yep, many cities are designed so you require a car. I dare say most places in the country. Yeah, I mean most places in the country west of uh, hmm, west of the Appalachians. Most cities in this country west of the Appalachians are like that. Yeah, pretty much the only cities you'll find that aren't like that in this country are cities that predate cars and predate them by a lot. Because if they only predate them by like 50 years or 60 years, you can bet your ass they're designed with cars in mind because they were still a growing town when cars came around. So, like, all the towns around me are designed for cars. The fucking county I live in is designed for cars. There's no public transportation here. There ain't even a cab company here. If you need to go somewhere and you can't afford Uber, you're shit out of luck. Other than Chicago and the Twin Cities, but yeah, yeah. I mean, like, but those are cities once again that predate the car pretty heavily. So, as far as I know, they were, heavily involved in all sorts of transportation before cars really became all the rage and super common. Um, as far as I know, Chicago was the jumping off point for the Trans Pacific Railroad or the Transcontinental Railroad, whatever it was. So Chicago predates cars and was big before cars were big. So it's kind of like that same way. Uh, LA is the coolest streetcar suburbs. Funny thing is, LA's actually partially predated the car too. Seattle's. Yeah, see, like, there's some cities west of the Appalachians, right? There are some. I guess what I'm saying is that it's ubiquitous east of the Appalachians and fairly rare west of them. Because you're right. Seattle's pretty good. That's what I've heard. I give my city its props. It definitely molded me. Let's see, I already read that. LA has the coolest streetcar suburbs. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I definitely want to learn because that sounds cool as fuck. Imagine if we built up if we had built up medium rail alongside cars. Well, that's the fucking shit I'm always talking about, dude. Like, imagine, right? There's a railroad right next to my house, but it only carries freight. What if that was shit was nationalized, or the rail companies decided they wanted to haul passengers? And what if they used the fucking space that they already have and squeezed in another fucking rail exclusively to use for a short line train, or even just like, even if they fucking just put a station, like, here's a crazy fucking thing that they could do. What if they just put a station in the major cities along the seven, like the let's say the I-55 corridor, which I don't know if you can take a train up. I think you basically can, but it goes pretty far off the corridor. Let's say you just had a fucking straight up and down track on the fucking railroad. And then branching off into these cities, you've got medium rail that serves some of the neighborhoods and shit. And that and so it's like, you live in a rural area, there's a spot where you can go, like, you might have to walk a while or something, but you're not going to have to walk all the way into town, which would take you all day long. It'll take you like an hour to walk over to City Hall or in the area where the fucking short rail station is, or short line station is, and then you take that over to the fucking main hub, and then you can hop on the, the fucking rail to wherever you need to go. Like, I think rail needs to be invested in way more heavily in this country. I think it's a way better solution than cars. In fact, I know it's a better solution than cars because you can make rails completely sustainable tomorrow. You can make them fucking carbon neutral tomorrow. Like, they're diesel engines. Like, that's the fucking crazy thing is like you can brew diesel. You can make diesel in a million different ways. Diesel engines are fucking just like that. They can run on a bunch of different crazy shit. So do that. Run them on run them on fucking renewable materials and have an essentially electrified railroad that runs on its own fucking sustainable renewable fucking grow fuels. LA had a massive streetcar network before the automobile industry bought all of it and took it out. Oh yeah, I remember that. I thought you were saying they still had streetcars. Yep, and then the medium rail feeds into a bus network or streetcar network. That's how America should have been designed alongside the car. Exactly. I think the car should have been something that a family had if they needed it because they worked in just a weird spot, or you live on a farm, you got to have a truck. I think the car should have been like imagine this. Imagine a world where a car is kind of still a luxury item, and that's okay because there's public transportation. And there's plenty of fucking good graded out back roads and side streets, and you can take your moped on those. And mopeds are fucking affordable. And there's moped dealerships instead of fucking car dealerships everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, imagine that, or a world like electric bikes. Like, that's the thing. Technology has brought us to a point where there's like a million and one different ways that we can do shit. It needs to be a unified platform, right? Cars, number one, we need to move to a self-driving car system, I think. But two, even if we're not, cars need to be like, I want to do a road trip, so I'm taking a car somewhere. That's weird. That's weird. My mom's got the flashlight out. I wonder what that's about. Anyway, it needs to be like a. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh, it needs to be like a combined solution where, like, if you got a car, like you're taking on a road trip or something, and imagine this too. Imagine like car subscription services. I've heard those exist now. So you pay like $100 a month or whatever, $50 a month, and you have a car that you can just view, and like it fucking drives itself to you, and then you fucking get into it and drive it off. Like, that would be a way better system than just having everybody have their own fucking car. Um, but I think it needs to be a combined system, like electric bikes and scooters and shit. Like, electric scooters seem to work really well for these interior downtown areas. And then you can have everywhere you got the scooters, you can have the bikes, right? And the bikes you use to get a little bit out further. And then at the residential terminals, you got the bike terminals there too, right? And then, but the bike terminals are always located somewhere that makes sense, like a fucking bus station that also has the light rail hookup, right? So then you've got that triple threat. So you can take the electric bike, the electric pedal bike, so you can take that over there, and then you put it on a little charger, right? And then you take the bus over uh, to where you need to go, and then when you're done, you fucking take the bus back over, and then take your fucking bike and fucking, you know. I don't know why that wouldn't work. It would work. There's no reason why it wouldn't work. It would work. And it would be so fucking cool. It would be so fucking cool, dude. I would love it if that's how every city in America worked. Hello, you're describing how I got my degree. Oh, you're describing how I got my degree. What do you mean? A car has its place, but it ought to be. Wait. As someone who grew up with a bunch of siblings, I know how useful a car can be. Yeah, 100%. A car can be useful as fuck. A car has its place, but it ought to be used as the piece of large, heavy machinery it is. I 100% agree. A lot of people don't like this idea, but I think all future cars should have their speed governed by a geofence. I already read this degree thing. I took my e-bike to the train out to Tacoma and took the bus home. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you're actually describing something you did or just something you could do in this beautiful new world we're crafting here, but either way, dope. Like, I dream about this shit, dude. I just think about what a fucking utopia it seems like we have sitting right in front of us, and the only reason we're not there is because the fucking profit motive is choking all of us in the capitalist desire to just suck every fucking drip and dribble out of us. It's like we've got the technology to make a literal utopia, and what are we doing? Putting around in fucking old ass cars. Universally, as people, I'm not saying everyone is. I'm just saying, like, like it's like we're still using internal combustion engines as a primary method of transportation. It just makes no sense. I'm high as fuck. Excuse my shitty typing. That's okay, dog. You're chill. You're fine with me. I'm just up and can't sleep. So I'm probably not making much sense either. But yeah, like, think about it. You've got like let's just say you got an e-bike subscription service. Maybe that's the thing that happens, right? And so you get, and maybe if you get the fucking premium, if you get the regular subscription service, you can just take one out anytime you need one, right? But if you've got the premium subscription service, then you actually get one of the little charging ports and an e-bike that's stationed to your driveway, right? And always charges up on your house, uses your fucking house's built-in electricity and everything. Or maybe you like pay a down payment, you technically like buy one for your house. I don't know how it would work, but imagine you've got that, right? And you've got the standardized design that comes with one already with it, but it's just one of the ones that's assigned to that area. So you take it wherever you need to do, wherever you need to go, and then you engage the wheel locks and everything. They'd probably have to be like biometric or at least pin release or something. Um, Damn it, bugs. Um, so you engage the wheel lock, you do whatever you got to do. You come back out, disengage the wheel locks, you bike over wherever you need to go, bike home. But let's say you go bike somewhere and then you're like, okay, I'm going to put the bike away and I'm going to go walk around downtown. You put that bike away. And if somebody else takes it, it's whatever, because you take another bike that's assigned to that area and you take it home, you charge it up at your little charging station. You've always got one right there. And so if you're a person who kind of struggles to walk pretty far and so you can't walk to your neighborhood station, you've got this option to get one. Now, eventually, I think that should just be given out by lottery or something, but still, it would be a start. Resources as it separates us from our common humanity. What? I take my e-bike battery off my e-bike and just charge it on the wall like a laptop. It's a 2.3 CA charge. That makes sense, yeah. Oh, they got that e-bike share in NYC. I think that's kind of like what you're talking about. Yeah, exactly. I've heard about it, and I think it should come to more cities. I used to live in a city called Columbia, or I didn't live there, but I used to go to a city called Columbia, Missouri a lot, and they have one of those scooter program things where like there's scooters in town, and you fucking pay a little subscription service to be able to use them, or you can pay like $5 to rent one for like an hour or something, and it really does like improve the fucking mobility of people around there. Like you see people using them all the fucking time, and I think e-bikes make even more sense, especially if you've got those ones where you can either pedal or let the motor run. Like that's just, I mean, that seems like such an apt area for innovation because, like, I could see situations where if you've got a hilly town, you could have regenerative, speed control built into the bike, right? So that whenever you're rolling downhill, you're actually generating power that's feeding back into the battery and it's slowing you at the same time. And like, there could be a lot of situations where you just you have a charge that lasts hours because you're going up and then down, it's charging you back up. And you know what I mean? It would be fucking cool. Yeah, no, for sure. Yep, I love my e-bike. Got a throttle on it. Got the throttle on it. My fiance has regen brakes. Shit hauls ass on the hills. Oh, that's so fucking cool. That's so fucking cool. And I bet it does, because that shit's like that's such a clever idea. I'm glad other people know it. I'm glad it's made its way into design already. Because I mean that just makes sense, especially on something like an e-bike. Because it's like, why wouldn't you use that? Like that seems like such an obvious innovation. Like you got to go downhill sometimes in a bike. You got to brake anyway. And do like a regenerative slowing process, where you're slowing the bike just enough to make it safe to go down the hill, and you're regenerating power at the same time. That just seems like smart to me. And yeah, the bike share would be such a cool idea for all kinds of cities. I think they should do it. Yeah. Well, Black Lark, I'm really fucking sleepy, but you've been a really cool chatter. So you should fucking subscribe to the channel if you're not, because we can have another talk about public transportation and city planning and futurism and socialism and all the other crazy isms that we talked about tonight. This was a really fun stream. This is the longest stream I've ever done, I think. So I'm going to get off of here and go to bed because I have to take my partner to work in the morning. Luckily, I have the day off, so I can go back to sleep after I come back. Yeah, thanks for the chat. Who knows what else come up? Exactly. That's why I love these. I started off talking about fucking Russia and Ukraine, ended it talking about city planning. Y'all have a great night.